Okay, so we're live, and I'm going to make this large screen. Cool. All right, so we're live. This is
Ooh,
episode number 3.
episode
uh,
three. Episode
yeah,
three,
of
yeah.
this unnamed live stream slash podcast.
Well,
uh,
it's unnamed. Call it a Lokes yard
sure,
or
that's
something,
fair. I'm down.
right?
I'm down with that.
A Lokes house. Welcome to a Lokes house, where
Well, welcome to
you have a beautiful
episode.
piano.
Yeah, yeah, in the background, episode number 3 of Alok's House, featuring our very distinguished guest of honor, uh, Mr. David. I hope I pronounced this correctly. Arquilla,
Yeah, David Arquilla. Yeah,
Arquilla, my fault.
all
Arquilla.
good.
Yeah, so would love to have you introduce yourself and give a little bit of a background. Anything you feel
hmm
interested in sharing about yourself.
Sure. David Arquilla. I live in New York City as well as a Loke, and we've met through Muay Thai classes at Henzo Gracie. Muay
Right,
Thai's a very good martial artist, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Muay Thai. And
and
I only do Muay Thai as of right now. But that's how we got to kind of get to know each other. And we've always had really interesting conversations
mm,
about, I don't know, varying topics after class sometimes. And I always enjoy cool conversations about whatever it is, people, philosophy, religion. I'm a very curious person. I am an actor here in New York, but
wonderful.
also elsewhere. I suppose when I go elsewhere, I'm an actor too. um,
Yeah,
and uh, and so I do just by the and I'm an actor and I model as well, and I work sometimes in the event space. And by virtue of my curiosity in life and just ranging people in conversations, I think that's how you and I connected and
yeah,
kind of found synergy and wanted to do this. You know, you said you had this idea. This was a few months back, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. Let's chop it up.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, thank you for the background. Yeah, and I often it's interesting because I've had kind of 3 guests, and they're all kind of very. I know them in very different ways. So it's cool for you to share how we kind of know each other. And yeah, uh, it is uncanny how many interesting conversations we've had, and even more
Yeah,
interesting how long they can go for.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I often have the experience like, oh, I could keep going, but I kind of have to go, like, for one reason or another. Um,
That's true.
but I've always found uh, talking to you to be incredibly interesting. And yeah, so
Mm,
that's why I'm really glad to kind of have you on.
me too.
Um,
Me too, man.
and yeah, I mean, some of the things that you mentioned are actually um, kind of line up with what I was interested in talking about. And of course, we can start where we start, and I never kind of put a kibosh on the direction it goes. And where we go is where we go.
Yeah,
But some of the things that I was interested in talking to you about, particularly since you're in the business of acting as well as modeling, which is the arts. And
yeah,
so I'm interested in talking a little bit about some of the interesting ideas or questions around um, art and the intersection of philosophy and aesthetics and reality. So some of the things that I find interesting are, when you talk about something that is beautiful, it's there's kinds of 2 ways of looking at it. There's somebody's perspective, which is um, quote unquote the subjective experience, right? So somebody sees something, or they observe, or they are looking at a piece of art, and they're
Mhm.
calling it beautiful based on how they're receiving and perceiving what they're
Mhm.
seeing. And then there's the flip side of it, which is an objective beauty, meaning independent of anybody else's opinion.
Mhm.
uh, this thing can stand alone, uh, and earn the title of beautiful. And so
Mm, mhm.
that was kind of a starting point that I was interested in having with you, and just getting your opinion on, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that beauty is something that is can stand on its own, independent of anybody observing it, or is it really important for there to be an observer, or somebody that's experiencing the art or the beauty for it to earn that kind of reputation?
Oh, well, that's interesting. So I'd say two things. There's, I think, objective beauty and subjective beauty.
Mhm.
And subjective beauty, I would categorize at an intersection of taste, right? Like maybe I like a certain movie or a certain sculpture, but it's not your taste.
Right.
In my opinion, it could be a really good movie, uh, but maybe it's just not your thing. But it's my thing.
Hmm.
Now, objectively, we can look at that movie and objectively analyze the cinematography of it, how the shot was. Um, were they following basic cinematography rules, the rule of thirds? Were how was the background set up? How was the frame itself captured? So I think objectively you can talk about those things and why they can work from a technical basis, and then subjectively beauty. Uh, I would say it's so much of it has to do with taste, and some people like Jackson Pollock paintings, and some people like Rembrandt, and some
Yeah.
people like Picasso, and I like all three of them, but for different reasons. Uh, and then can art and beauty stand on its own without an observer? Well, yes, sort of. But I mean, that goes back to like the old adage, if there's a tree in the forest and it falls, but no one's around to hear it, did it really fall? So, yes, I guess we could say it did, but no one was there to observe it. So how would we know? Is that where you're getting at? Because when you say like observer, the observer effect, that's instantly what came to my mind.
Yeah.
Is that what comes,
Yeah.
or were you saying
I
more of
think.
the first one, like
Yeah.
subjective versus objective?
Well, right. I mean, I actually am curious to know your answer to that question, like the tree in the forest. I mean, because I think
Hmm.
that, yeah, it is an interesting question. Um,
Yeah, it
and
is.
I think I totally agree with you. I mean, on the subjective aspect of it,
Hmm.
that's definitely a matter of opinion. Um,
It's an opinion, and then there's objectivity where, due to, you could probably call it, certain mathematical principles, I think things are objectively beautiful, right? Because whether it's the Fibonacci sequence we see in nature, um, whether it's the golden ratio that the Greeks would use when they carved statues,
mhm.
which is very, I remember the golden age of bodybuilding, like Schwarzenegger in the 70s would talk about it, where
Yeah.
aesthetically you would want your neck, your biceps, and your calves to be the same,
Portion.
uh in proportion, the same inches, because it makes the body more beautiful in proportion. So that's just sheer like math, right? And then symmetry of one side looking the same as the other. There's a really interesting book called The Survival of the Prettiest. It came out like in the late 90s, and the author, she talks all about this, why it's men and women, especially women, when we think of pretty, but why, what are the advantages, what makes us think that they're pretty,
Right.
Is it just symmetry? Everything on this side of the face is the exact same as this side of the face, and a lot of it is, but the most beautiful people actually have maybe a slight asymmetry as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
And the best looking faces are the most average faces as well. So it's the average of all the faces you see. It's the average of all of them. So it's the average of the lips, the nose, the cheekbones, the jaw, and which I find endlessly fascinating. But so I once again, I think it can be very technical, and then it can be very, man, that's just so beautiful. I don't know why that works. I don't know why that's beautiful, but it stimulates me.
Right.
And I think art, all it has to do is stimulate you in some way to be, I don't want to say successful, but I don't know. I heard somebody describe that to me. I was looking at a painting years ago, and I was like, I don't know, like, what does it stimulate you? I'm like, oh, yeah, a little bit. I said, well, that, then maybe there's something there. What do you think? I'm rambling on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's there's a lot, I think, that we can kind of take from what you said. And one of the things that I kind of find interesting, particularly around, the dichotomy of objective, subjective, is
Mm-hmm.
if objective beauty really does exist,
Mm-hmm.
then it ought to be immediately recognizable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So if something is objectively beautiful, i.e., like it stands apart from any kind of observer or any kind of opinion, then anybody
Oh.
observing it should automatically recognize that beauty and see it. Because if that was truly true and it was independent, then it would transcend any kind of anything that actually is subjective. So when you were
Mm.
mentioning, like the cinematography and
Of a movie, yeah.
the third, I think there's something I
The
don't know
rule
about
the rule of
critical
thirds,
thirds.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
um,
like, it's why if I'm on this side of the camera,
right.
automatically this negative space over here,
Comes
it's
more
actually helpful
right.
because the observer you goes right to my eyes,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
and it's
Yeah,
broken down. Here's a third here, and then here's a third, and then here and here.
yeah.
So those are like, and you often see that in great photography, great cinematography, great art, and even nature, I feel like.
Yeah. So the thing that I think is interesting is I didn't know that. I didn't know that,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah, if
That
somebody
surprises
else
me.
doesn't, yeah, if somebody else doesn't know that and they don't recognize it, is it tr- can it is it can we still say that it's objectively beautiful?
Oh.
Going back to what I was saying about, okay, if something is truly objectively beautiful, it ought to be recognized immediately, right? There isn't anything there's no room for kind of a introduction of kind of something subjective,
Hmm.
because it's transcending that.
But things just work. See, like, even though you didn't, or you may have not known the rule of thirds. I guess for some reason I thought you would have, because you just give off like you're a very, very intelligent man. So it's
I've
like,
heard, well,
and,
that's
and,
debate. I mean, but I
and
have heard kind of the idea, like when you're taking a picture, the
mhm,
thing that you want to be the primary focus isn't
mhm.
supposed to be, it's not a good idea to have it be in the middle, right? Like that's kind of the natural thing that people do.
Yeah,
Like, you'll see this all the time when people are going out and taking, like
you do see it.
on
You do.
vacation, like everything is dead center, right? Or close to it.
Yeah, and
But it's often like
it
when, just like you said, when it's a little
the
bit
rule of
off
thirds.
one side or the other side, it actually comes off as, just like you said, a little bit more
It's more
interesting.
beautiful,
Right.
perhaps, if it's on
Right.
the unless you break that rule and you put the subject in the middle of the screen, the frame.
Yeah.
You'll see this in a guy named Wes Anderson. He's a director in his
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
His most recent movie, The Phoenician Scheme, everything was just so symmetrical.
Right.
So I could be in the middle of the frame, and behind me, there's like a building, but it's perfectly symmetrical.
Mhm.
So everything in the frame, geometrically speaking, it's just
Lines up.
perfectly symmetrical.
Right.
So in that case, I think you break the rule. It's like when you're watching a newscaster as well.
Mhm.
They're in the middle of the screen, or a politician or a business person speak, or an athlete. They're in the middle of the screen. Um, I think it can work, but oftentimes the reason why you see on TV or in a movie, I'm over here on this side, and then when it flips to me, the other person's in this part of the frame.
Right.
They're following the rule of thirds.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
But
it's,
mhm.
go ahead.
No, but even if you didn't know that, you can still
Probably
probably
still,
appreciate
yeah.
the beauty of it, right?
Right, 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 right. I think it's super interesting too, that concept that you were kind of bringing up before, which is, um, oftentimes what we really experience as beautiful, we think, or like we kind of have this idea that symmetry, a perfect symmetry,
Hmm.
is going to be like the most beautiful thing.
Yeah,
But what's actually true is
yeah,
when we actually, there's a little bit of or a little bit of imperfection
a
that
little bit,
actually
yeah.
makes it better or more uh, beautiful than something
Hmm.
that was perfectly symmetric. So I that always kind of reminds me. It's so crazy because I always go back to this movie because it's like one of my favorite movies. But there's this part in the Matrix where Agent Smith is telling Neo, he's like, yeah, the first iteration of the Matrix was built as a paradise. It
Huh.
was built to be where everybody got everything that they wanted. Like it was basically, heaven.
Utopia,
Yeah,
heaven,
exactly.
utopia, yeah.
And he was like, they lost whole crops, by, like people were just dying by the truckloads, right?
Wow.
And the reason why is because the people who were put into that matrix rejected it. They just couldn't believe it. It was because it was perfect, because it was
Yeah.
too perfect.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't accepted. And I think that's, there's an interesting kind of truth to that, and some of it is a little bit just says about what the human cognitive architecture is all about. But
Oh,
I do
wow.
think that there is, there's like a lot of truth to that. I think definitely in the way that at least human beings experience things. Like if you show, we have a saying, like if something looks too good to be true, it
Hmm.
usually is,
Yeah, I
so
know,
there's
right?
something about things being perfect, that's actually unsettling. And I'm curious to hear
Huh.
your take on that, and like how you kind of think about that, like in terms of like beauty and modeling and perception.
That is a great question. I wonder why we do think that. You I wonder if that's societal. I wonder if that's just hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Um,
That's kind of where I go.
and like because things we always had to be aware that the people who survived, including us and including our ancestors, were if you got things 9 out of 10 times right, but you didn't get that one time right,
Death.
you died.
Yeah.
you're
Pretty
you're eaten
badly.
by a snake or a tiger.
Yeah.
Now it works against you. Now that
Right.
works against you, which I forget constantly. You can be wrong, you can screw up in today's world. Maybe not, hopefully not too bad, right? You don't want to go to prison for a long time or anything, but like,
Yeah.
but in failures of business, relationships, different ventures, and it's like you don't get killed, and you don't. The worst that can happen to you is definitely not death, or I mean, exile was really bad in the past,
Yeah.
right? That's why I think cancel culture, although now it's obviously I think improved, but when we're having a lot of cancel culture because it's a sign of like banishment and
Yeah.
exile. And
Right.
if that happened in the past, then that would mean death because you're just on your own,
Yeah.
right? And we're so reliant on other humans. Um, yeah, that is. If things are too good to be true, they probably are. We have a negativity bias,
Yeah.
right? We have I could be in a great mood all day. Things could be going my way. And if one bad thing happens, I'm cognitively trained through an evolution lens to focus on that bad thing as opposed to all this good stuff that has been happening.
Yeah.
And that's because historically that could have meant something horrible. It could have meant the lion is about to eat you or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think so? That's where you go. Do you think that's the reason? Like we just don't accept things as too good to be true, or I mean, do you think we can train ourselves to be okay with um perfect? Yeah, like
So it's an interesting question. I think there's a couple dimensions to it, and I think I can tie it back to objectivity too.
yeah,
Um, at least I'll attempt to. But no, I agree with you. I do think that at least on a human level,
mm-hmm.
um, I would agree. Literally, I think humans, anatomically modern humans, have been around for 300,000 years. It's a long time, right?
It's a long time.
But ironically, behaviorally modern humans, in
Mm-hmm.
the way that you and I are kind of interacting right now, that's only been like the last, at best, 30 to 50,000 years, which is
Wow. Yeah.
crazy, right? So for like 230 to 250,000 years,
Wow.
we were kind of just, like roaming around, you know? And I do think that, from what I understand, like back in those times, life expectancy didn't really go past 40. Like that was like,
250,000 years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, people
Yeah, that's a
people
great
didn't
question. I could see
live
that.
they're not living to, like 76 the way they are today. Even that is
Yeah.
actually a very recent thing that didn't happen, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, to your point,
Yeah, I guess it
it's
is. Like, it
it's
happened a couple thousand years ago, right? But it's only if you got past the r like, 'cause some of the philosophers, whatever, Socrates, Marcus Aurelius, they did live quite a long time, but you had to get
yeah,
past, first off,
certain point.
not to
Yeah.
die as a child,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
then not to die or starve as as an adult in war or something. And then if you
Yeah.
made it, you could make it. But yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, and,
So to live, to,
all finish your thought.
well, no, I guess so. A quarter million years ago, the anatomical humans that were living then, um, yeah, I guess they were 40 and they died. I mean, is that pretty established?
I mean, I'm sure there were some that got past it, but by
Yeah.
and large, you're not having, you're not having a nursing home, like in 200,000 BC. Like that's not happening. Like maybe you had two or three elders in a camp of 300 people, and that's like it, and that's kind of how it goes. There's a bell curve.
Yeah.
There's always going to be those outliers.
So
uh,
funny.
but yeah, you're generally not going to see that happening. But I
Yeah.
think what uh so yeah, so that essentially that's that, right? So it makes
Mhm.
sense. We should be hyper skeptical. I think that's a good thing, actually, for us, for a
Mm.
human being not to accept perfection. That's not a bad thing,
Yeah.
because that is extremely uncommon, right? And only in like a very, very certain circumstance would something like that actually manifest itself. By and large, that didn't match reality. That didn't match the way that
Yeah, it
human.
didn't match reality. That's a good way to put it. It didn't match reality.
Yeah. So
Because
so
reality was
naturally,
brutal
that's
back then.
very brutal.
It is now. I mean,
Yeah,
but
it's still
back then, I
brutal.
mean,
But yeah,
it's
back
like,
then it was really bad. But
yeah.
now coming to that's looking at it purely on like the subjective level, meaning how human beings would interpret it. But I do
Mhm, mhm.
feel like from a objective perspective, one could make the argument, and the reason why I'm saying this is because what comes to my mind is the yin yang symbol, right? So, which is a
Mhm.
very interesting symbol insofar as it's symmetrical but not symmetrical, right? So
Mhm.
when you split a yin yang in half, like if you were kind of the reason why I think that particular symbol is so powerful is
Yeah.
because it's not a circle split in half. It's
Right.
this curve, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this contrast of black and white, and what you see is the kind of the teardrop, of the white and the black, starting in this little point and then expanding into this larger piece, right? And
Right.
almost
Right.
collapsing into the black. But then the other interesting thing is that in the white, there's always a little bit of black, and in the black,
Mhm.
there's always a little bit of white, right? And
Right.
that to me is to say that some of these things, these are existing in a duality. That is
Mm.
part and parcel of what reality is. It exists in these you know uh, conflicting forces, right? So we have
Mhm.
beauty and we also have ugliness. Can we ever I mean, if we're talking about beauty right now, but we could never talk about beauty by itself. It's always in reference to something that's ugly, right? They have to kind of
Right, the
be.
contrast.
Yeah, because the ugliness has to exist in order to give.
The
And
beauty.
I'm willing to debate this. This is what I mean. This is what I'm conjecturing. But
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that those dualities exist, um, and are inextricably linked from one another. So
Uh,
if we were to grant that, and grant that as an a objective description of how reality works,
mhm.
similar to a yin yang symbol, if something were if we were going to talk about something that is beautiful, there is a little bit of imperfection inherently in it. It can't be entirely purely beautiful, because then that would de-link it from its opposite, from duality, and that's not possible.
Oh. So it speaks to contrast because we have the ugly is the only reason we have the beautiful. If it was all beautiful, then we probably wouldn't call it beautiful.
Correct. So what would happen is, if you just had all beautiful at one point, you would just be recalibrating. It would
Hmm.
be, okay, all of this is beautiful. The thing that's less beautiful is the new ugly,
Yes, that's right. That's
right?
right.
Because, okay, if something is, how do I know something is more beautiful than something else? You inherently are saying that you have to do a comparison. And in doing a
Hmm.
comparison and saying that one is more than another, you have to be creating this scale in which to do that and to say that.
Okay. Interesting. Do you think um okay.
I mean,
Okay, okay.
that's a theory. That's a conjecture. I'm not.
No, no, I agree with that. I also think and know that we can train ourselves to see we can be in states where we recognize the beauty much more of things,
Mhm,
right? I do. There's people who do it all the time,
mhm.
right? I would imagine like
Say more. Yeah.
well
What does that look like?
if you at least personally at times where I constantly was meditating, my reality was it was just more vibrant, more rich,
Mm,
more colorful, more possibilities.
yeah.
um when I've gone on silent retreats and I really go inward and I'm just not talking, there becomes a point where like I'm so like I'm almost giddy. I'm blissful
Mm,
of how incredible life is. And maybe it's because I began to recognize what was always there,
mm.
but I just didn't see it
Right.
in my normal life, right?
Right.
So like your background, very beautiful house, piano, uh fireplace, and it's like awesome, right?
And it's a total illusion.
I know it is. It is a
Yeah, yeah,
total
yeah.
illusion.
I know. I
It
just
it
thought
it,
it.
it is just so it's a total illusion.
Yeah. Right.
But like then if you stay in it long enough, it just becomes this is my house. Oh, the
Yeah.
piano's yeah, it's a cool piano. But if I see it for the first time, it's like, whoa, this is
It's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't do this. I mean, I like I said, if I could have I don't know about one wish. I wish for a lot of things, but the opportunity just to see everything with fresh eyes all the time,
Right.
because I think that's how other mammals see things. I'm not positive on that, but they don't have the executive function to plan things in the future. So they're constantly present in the present moment.
Mhm.
So it's as if everything's happening for the first time. right? It's why um, a squirrel can get chased by, I don't know, some coyote, but it can get away.
Mhm.
You have a high spike in cortisol, fight or flight, it gets away, and then it goes back to normal. It goes back to normal. I don't think that squirrel is thinking about the coyote a few hours later. But humans, we can do that.
Mhm.
We had an encounter. Doesn't even have to be a life or death encounter. It could just be like an uncomfortable social situation.
Right.
And then a few hours later, once we're out of the situation, we can replay that in our minds.
Yeah.
And um, by seeing things freshly, like for the first time, I think you appreciate more beauty. You see less flaws, and you just see things for what they are. And oftentimes, when you see things for what they are, especially in nature, it is quite beautiful.
Mhm.
Like even just walking around New York City, it's chaotic and it's dense and there's a lot of people, but it's quite beautiful. There's beautiful architecture.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great social experiment. All these people are somehow on top of each other, but they also have their own lives. And once again, it goes back to, can we train ourselves to see more of the beauty?
So I have a question for you. When you talk about, us take going to a silent retreat or consistently doing meditation, um,
Mhm.
and then recognizing there's a difference in terms of how you're experiencing the world, and in particular, you seem to
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
recognizing beauty. But what do you think is happening that
Mhm.
is changing that experience, and how do you think that is actually connected to beauty?
Mm. What is actually happening? Well, I'm changing.
What are
I'm
you
doing the
changing?
changing.
What's
In
changing?
in internally, I'm changing. So, like on a silent retreat, I pray, I talk to God, I listen, I observe. In meditation, we start to observe the space between our thoughts more clearly than we did before, right? The Tibetan etymology for meditation is to know thyself. I think when you are doing these things, you're changing you, and also physiologically as well, right? Meditation adds more gray matter to the brain, I believe, which I forget exactly what that does, but because I've changed, now everything around me has changed.
Mm,
So that's a great question. Like what actually did change though? Is it just my perception?
yeah.
Is it just the way I see things? And is that a lasting change?
And
Or is there
is it purely like a physical change, or
right, is it
is it
physical?
a
Is it
mental change?
psychological?
Is it a
Is it mental?
spiritual change? And if so, if it's one, two, or all three, are they
Mhm.
connected? How does that kind of work? And then again,
Mm,
how does that then kind of impact your experience of the world, and also
mm,
the recognition, or it sounded like when you were talking about it, you had a clearer, or a quicker, or a more accessible recognition of beauty. And so I'm interested into kind of just probing that a little bit more deeply.
yeah. Yeah. I did. I do. I think you're right. Maybe I it's like some type of weight is lifted off you, and or you're sifting through and you're distilling, and what you're left with is so much more pure, right? I think it is psychological and spiritual and physical too.
Mhm.
It would be all three. Now, for all three to last when you go back to normal life, that's more challenging.
Right.
Once again, physiological though, we do know the more someone meditates, they can have better physiological responses. Their parasympathetic nervous system works better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the good nervous system, right? The sympathetic is the fight or flight. You want your parasympathetic
I always get
activated.
that.
I always get those two. Right. The parasympathetic
Like,
is the one you want to be better.
right. Whenever I hear parasympathetic, I always think of paratroopers. I don't know why.
Paratroopers. Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also just being more present. When you're forced to, when I'm just silent and I'm forced to observe.
Yeah.
I have to be right here.
Right.
Right there, wherever I am. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's an actor as well. I was doing his podcast, Thespians podcast. Laris Macario is his name.
Nice.
He said humans are always transporting themselves. We always want to transport ourselves. And I said, oh, well, say more. He's like, when you go to your phone, when you look in your phone, you're transporting yourself. When I'm watching a movie, I'm transporting myself. When I'm on a phone call, when I'm sending an email, like you're transporting yourself out of what is here and now, right here in this moment, and you're going somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a large change or it could be a small change. And I think that is accurate. And unfortunately, I think that's why we are unhappy too. And like you said, like if something's too perfect, you're skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
The more I meditate or the more I pray, and honestly, the most successful people I've seen, and it doesn't have to be money or anything like that, but I have a good friend. He's a cardinal in the Catholic Church,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a pretty high ranking clergy member, right? You have the Pope and the College of Cardinals, and he is so present and so there,
right,
and just so all the stuff around you, whatever. Right. If he's having a conversation with you, he's having a conversation with you,
right?
And sure, maybe I'm seeing his highlight reel. He has bad days. His mind is out of stuff too. But I noticed that is a theme of, I hear a very charismatic, present people. Bill Clinton, people said he used to do that. And when you do that, like even, this conversation, if we can really focus on each other in the here and now, that is magical.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything in this moment is just fine, and we really don't have much reason to be not observing the beauty of the moment. Or it could be lacking. Oh, I wish I was in a house like the one you're in, or the illusion house you're in. But it's like
right. With the piano.
But once again, I'm transporting myself somewhere. I'm thinking about what I don't have instead of what I do have in this moment.
Right.
And humans are always trying to do this. And so to go back, good art, good beauty, I don't know, just if it puts me right in the present where that's what I focus on, man, I feel like that's golden. I feel like that is where where magic happens. And the more present we are, oftentimes the more happier we are. The happier we are. Like when people are doing social interactions, when people are playing
Yeah.
sports, I
Yeah.
love being an actor, because you have to be very present when you're making movies, or when you're doing theater. Like you have to be very present, and
Right.
it's like in those moments, I think those are some of the most fun moments of your life. When you're in like a roller coaster, when
Yeah.
you're if you were flying a plane, right? These moments you have to be so in the present.
Yeah.
And meditation, silent retreats, they help me maybe reset my perspective and get back to the present. So nothing has changed out there, but I've changed. And so now I actually can observe
Right.
how cool the present moment is around me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. You hit it. There's one thing that I thought was really interesting that you just said, which was um, that, quote unquote, good or beautiful art. There's, we can use these kinds of words
Yeah.
to mean a certain thing, right? But
Mhm.
it's kind of well, like it when you see it. But I
Yes.
think the thing that's fascinating that if we're going to kind of connect it to kind of the present,
Mhm.
is that know it when I see it, I feel happens when you do get this kind of unexpected, um, almost like a car crash into a wall of presence. When
Mhm.
for the there's I can't remember who it was, but I mean, this is kind of I think it was this philosopher, Immanuel Kant. He described
Mm.
this thing called the sublime, and the
Oh, the
sublime,
sublime. Okay.
yeah, the sublime, he would say, is like the moment when you look at at a gorgeous sunset, or you look at a mountain. I mean, those are two natural scenes, but I think
Yeah.
it could be anything, and you look at these things, or you look at an incredible piece of art, and you're just like you just have this, you're just
Hey, take it
hit.
in.
Yeah, you're hit with this kind of experience that
Right.
really just leaves you speechless.
Uh-huh.
But what it seems to me like is what is actually happening is that you're almost really wherever to your point about transporting, or your friend's point about transporting, that moment where you have that awe is literally something else grabbing you from where you were transported and going, you are right here.
You're right here.
You're right here in
Yeah.
front of this thing, and it's commanding you to be present. Like you can't,
Wow.
it's almost like you can't not be present to it,
Mhm.
because it has this kind of
Grip.
incredible authenticity to it, and this intrinsic or objective beauty, whatever. There's so many ways that you can kind of describe it, but as you were talking about it before, that's kind of like, it does seem like there is a link between the experience of something beautiful and being, or like experiencing yourself as in the present.
Mhm.
Because in every case that I can think of it for myself,
Mhm.
that is kind of what was happening. I was really just being commanded into the present, so much so that it's not, you can't avoid it. It's just, it has to happen. Um, yeah, I just was thinking about that because that
Mm.
connection does seem very strong and tightly linked. to one another?
Yeah, that makes me think of the Grand Canyon. I don't know if
Mm,
you've ever been, but
yeah.
like, yeah, you're right. It's just like when the first time I saw it, I'm like, I just fell silent. I was with my
Yeah.
best bud, and
Yeah.
and there's no words, there's
Right.
nothing that can really
Capture.
describe what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing is so awe-inspiring and grand and majestic and heavenly, and just I have to be right there in the
Yeah.
moment to experience it because I don't
Right.
wanna miss it,
Right.
right? Like forget about, the thing I was gonna go do, or like where we're going next. It's like, no, you have to be right here to see that beauty. And what I'm proposing is, uh once again, I wonder how much of it is a skill that we can train ourselves, but what if you could live life like that?
Mm,
If it didn't have to be the Grand Canyon,
right.
but if I could really recognize the beauty
Of it.
and
Yeah. That you're.
the awesomeness
Yeah.
of just my everyday life. Like,
Yeah.
um,
It feels like that would be pretty overwhelming, though. I
it
mean,
might be. You know
I,
what? It
yeah.
might, and actually, yeah, it probably there's um there's these yogis in India. I think they're yogis who reach such a high level of, I don't know, call it spiritual transformation. They can't really do things on their own. Like they need help from other people to live a normal life because they're so spiritually like blissful and I
Yeah.
don't want to say enlightened, but I forget what it's called. I
I
was
can.
reading this book called Inner Engineering
Right.
by Sadhguru, and he
Yeah.
was talking about them. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I do. I do. So
And is
yeah, I
there
mean,
any truth to this? Is that
I think so. I don't think it's not a common thing. I don't know
no,
how
it's not
many
common. No.
real ones there are out there. I know of some from the past that I kind of
Okay.
will say I don't know of any present today. And in general, I tend to be
Skeptical.
skeptical, yeah. But I've also seen and experienced things myself, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, okay, well, I have to kind of make some space to like to allow for this. But so yeah, so according to 'cause I've kind of delved into kind of understanding this just because it's part of my background as well. But for many of these yogis that kind of go into the Himalayas, there's a very strong culture in India around doing things like that. Around, they have taken religion very, very seriously, and many of them have spent and dedicated their entire lives to living, a spiritual life, and part of that entails basically renouncing the world, right? So you
The
ba-
material world.
yeah, the material world. You become what's called a sadhu, who's dedicated their lives to self-realization, right? So they're doing all kinds of meditation, and then what we call, there's a word for it. It's called tapasya, which is basically austerities, right? So they will do all kinds of
Oh,
things which seem like body torture, but from their perspective, their methods of
bring
transcending
themselves
the
of the body.
body. Yeah, yeah.
Right,
So
right,
you
right.
will find actually, there are people in India, no joke, and there's video evidence, documented, who have kept their arms up like this over their heads for decades.
Oh, I feel like I've heard
Decades.
this. Yes, yes, I've
Yeah, yeah,
heard
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
and
And some
and
of them
the
have
blood leaves, right?
they're literally their arm
So it becomes super
atrophies.
it
Yeah, their
atrophies, so
nails
it's very
become like
thin.
literally to the middle of their forearms or they start curling. So some of them have done that. Others have never sat down or laid down to sleep in their entire lives. So they just stay standing all day and all night. And again, that's with the intention. That's part of their tapasya. That's their austerity, and their spiritual practice.
That's
So
incredible.
some of
That's
them
incredible.
probably are being taken care of, because it's they will learn. Some of them will learn to, like the ones that keep their arms up. They learn to do everything with whatever is their free hand. But there are others, who purportedly have really advanced in their meditation, and have kind of reached higher planes of consciousness. Many of them will fast for days, months, weeks on end, and part of the reason for that is in order to allow them to do long periods of meditation. So if you're eating a lot, you have to go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah, you do. I know.
Some of these,
I hate it.
yeah, exactly. You have to pee and you have to poo, like it's just how the body works. But that doesn't happen if there's no food in it,
Right. Right.
So it allows them to do again, to kind of break some of the physical limitations and for them to meditate for much longer periods of time. And that's actually the real reason, although fasting itself is an austerity. But the word that I think what you're talking about is there is a state of conscious. So if you've been meditating for some time, there's these different levels of consciousness expansion that takes place, ultimately leading to something called samadhi. So samadhi is essentially means that you've reached union with like the divine.
Wow. Samadhi.
Yeah. It basically means that you've transcended kind of the physical phenomenal world, and are now just kind of staying in purely a very pure spiritual state of being or consciousness. And yeah, when people are in that kind of state, they can kind of, if they're in it for a long time, or if they attain it through meditation, or they can just get very inspired and something can just push them into samadhi. But when they're like that, you're right, they need to be kind of taken care of, because they can almost appear as if they're like drunk,
Yeah,
they're
exactly. This is what I'm talking about. That's incredible.
Yeah. So that's and there's a lot more. I know a lot of stories.
Are your parents are from India?
Yeah. So yeah, both of my parents were from India. And my mom was Hindu and my dad was Jain.
Okay.
And so so I learned kind of both of those traditions, and I follow both of them as well.
Wow. Do the Jainists, are they the ones that like only eat fruit?
No, not only fruit,
okay.
but they're very like
Their diet.
Non-violence is a very important value and belief. So they will not even eat onion, garlic, and potatoes. They believe like those are kind of root vegetables, and there's certain it's a very utilitarian kind of approach. So they have a very heavy belief in the soul, and in certain vegetables like onions and potatoes, it's not that, okay, there's this one soul and one body in one potato and one onion. There are innumerable souls, but they're very, very small.
Within us, or
within us, but specifically within a potato and within an onion.
I see. Okay, so that's
the reason why they don't eat those things, because eating that would mean that you're causing violence to all of these innumerable souls that are kind of inherent in potato. And with other vegetables, it may not be like that. It could be like for a banana, one banana is one soul, or maybe not even a soul, right? But
Oh,
that's not the
are,
case with certain vegetables and certain
would
fruits even.
would you say they're like? Would that be like panpsychism, where each thing has some type of consciousness, is
Um,
living in some way, right? Panpsychism.
no,
No, it's not panpsychism. Let me
I don't
verify
think
that.
so. I mean, fundamentally, they're the main kind of focus is around. So what we would
That's the consciousness or a form of mentality is a fundamental and pervasive feature of the universe, present to some degree in all matter, not just living things.
no.
So, okay.
So they have like these nine truths, and they kind of come in these pairs, and one of them is there's
Oh,
living and there's non-living, and only
oh,
things that are living have consciousness, right? They
okay.
only A
Got
soul
it.
can only inhabit a living being, and anything
Hmm.
that is non-living, cannot. Although
Interesting.
the interesting thing is that so this is super fascinating because I mean this is like thousands of years old, but
Yeah.
they identified that there's 1 sense, 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, and 5 sense beings, right? And so
5 cents being.
here's what's super interesting. A 1 cent water itself, not stuff in the water itself is a 1 sensed being. Fire is a 1 sensed being.
Okay. How do they define that? Like, what does it mean to be one sensed?
So essentially the way that they so 1 sense, so the 5 senses, right? You have touch, taste, smell,
Sure.
uh sight, and
Sight.
hearing, right?
Okay. So
The
our
fun
5 senses.
Yeah, the 5 senses that, like that
Okay.
those are the senses that are defined. And fundamentally, the first sense is always the sense of touch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So any 1 sensed being is said to have, touch as the primary sense.
Interesting.
Um,
What are humans?
5 sense beings.
Okay. And then what's like a tiger?
That's also 5 sense being. So the interesting
Okay.
thing is like where you
Or
get like
water,
to
but the
two,
element.
3, and 4.
Yeah.
Think like I think maybe like an earthworm is a 2 sensed being, so it
Hmm.
has touch and taste.
Hmm.
And I think like an insect might be um, a 4 sensed being.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah, I would have to double check, but I mean, it's to me, it's super fascinating that even
That's very fascinating.
that, like, yeah, that level of kind of detail, breaking uh, living things down into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sense beings. You know, Darwin was like, I think what, like in the
1850,
1800s, yeah.
1800s,
But
something. Yeah.
yeah, they had kind of documented this many centuries before that. But
Millennia, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. In any case, yeah, I can't even remember. Yeah, because we were talking about the yogis in India.
Well, yeah, no, I find that so fascinating
Yeah,
that the yogis, they're in such a blissful state.
yeah,
Like you said, it can be almost drunkenness.
yeah, right.
And but man, just to put myself in their shoes, to see what they see, hear what they hear, feel what they feel, smell, like, just like their awareness, right?
Mhm.
Go beyond the 5 senses. We have
Yeah,
awareness.
right.
Um, Sometimes I wish I had the discipline,
Yeah,
or
that's
even or even desire to do, or maybe just wasn't such a materialist. I'm I'm not a obviously I'm not a pure materialist. I'm definitely not. Um,
Yeah, I don't
but
get that
I,
either.
people are
What
just
it's
pure
worth.
materialists.
Yeah, that's not the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, that would be weird if people were. Oh, for me. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no, no. No, I'm not a no, definitely not a pure materialist. But I kind of find it. But in this world, things are. It's like the realm or realms beyond the material and beyond matter.
Yeah,
I think people used to embrace them much more,
right.
but now the material realm and matter, it's so sexy and appealing, and um I don't know, I feel like it counts more than it used to. Does that do you
Yeah,
know what I
well,
mean?
I
Am I
think
being crazy about that?
no, I don't think you are at all. I think we've really
You can see
traded.
it in the fall of religion and things like that, but
Yeah,
it's very materialistic.
the way I read that and interpret it, like what you're saying about the materialism, is that we really have pedestalized reason and rationality, and I do
Mm.
feel like those kind of go together. If you really are going to put reason and rationality above everything else, it will
Okay.
lead to more materialism. Because
Interesting.
fundamentally, materialism is um, most easily it's a very concrete thing. It's
It's
something that's
concrete.
completely within the realm of explaining through reason and rationality. I was
Interesting.
just thinking about this the other day. I really do feel like, I mean, our advances in technology, and I'm not
Hmm.
just talking about computers and stuff, but really in a very real way, light has
Like,
really um, taken us away from um, I guess you could say wonder. I think one of the things that
oh,
I
like
think about,
artificial light.
yeah, I do. I really feel like not even just secluded to the Western world, but all
Oh,
around, everywhere on Earth, we've really been cut off from the sky.
from the sky, no, from the
Yeah,
stars.
yeah,
Except in choice areas,
yeah. Very,
like
very few, and very, very few
Tucson,
communities.
Arizona, you can see because of how many observatories are out there,
Mhm.
they it is so dark. They have rules about streetlights.
Right.
So it is so dark, which I'm okay with. But if I remember my sister lives out there
Mm.
now, and my parents were just like, "Oh, it is dark. Can't even see when I'm driving." And
Yeah.
but it's because the stars, and they want to be able to see the stars. And
Yeah.
but because of that, I almost I don't know, man. I don't know if it was like, oh, I'm on vacation, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. It's really easy to be happy on vacation, but you can look in the sky and just see the abundance of stars that you definitely don't see in a New York City. But even in the Midwest, if I go back to Dayton, Ohio, where I was born, you don't. I mean, you see stuff, but it's not. I know what you mean, and so you're saying that is happening throughout the
Yeah.
world because of these major metropolises where people live now.
I think there's something very I think we've really lost something
Mhm.
by being disconnected from the night sky, from the
Yeah.
stars. Because back in the day, like I'm not even talking about what we were saying before, like the 250. I'm even just talking like
couple hundred years.
300 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
we relied on the night sky. You know, that so many things about life were determined, you know, by the stars.
Yeah.
You know, everything. I mean, navigating all of our. I mean, and the thing is like you just. The reason why I'm saying that is because you know, like you've traveled a bit. Whenever you go to these different places and you go to like cultural heritage sites, almost every single one of them is built around the stars.
Around the stars. Yeah, I know. It's
Really,
fascinating.
like, you know, you go to Stonehenge, you go to, you know, Egypt, you go to
Mhm.
the Middle East, you know, you go to
Yeah.
Teotihuacan and you go to
But where's that?
Peru or
Teotihuacan?
yeah, it's with the pyramids in by Mexico City.
Mexico City. Okay.
Yeah. But like all of those architectural sites like around the world
Yeah.
were calibrated towards the stars.
Hmm.
Like fundamentally, that's like
Yeah, I know, right?
everything was so closely coupled and tied to that. And I think that that also kind of brought about this our ability to wonder, you know,
Wonder and
versus
awe. Yeah, I
yeah,
did.
yeah,
It's way
yes,
easier to
like
do that.
right. I mean, like part of the reason why we we're so connected to the stars too is because we like if you look at all these different cultures around, they all had astrology. They used the stars to also make sense of people's lives. You know, like like that's a little woo woo. You know, but I
It
mean,
is wild.
you know,
Yeah, but
it is
but it's fascinating. Yeah, I don't know how woo. I mean, I guess it's
yeah, exactly. Like I
you know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
Maybe it's not woo woo, but
Maybe
we
it's not,
think
maybe it is, but
we created that term woo woo to describe that stuff, right?
to yeah, it's right,
Because we're cut
right.
off from the start. Like how
Because we're
that
cut
doesn't fit
off.
within reason and rationality of
Yeah, even like lunatic, right? From
yeah,
the root lunar,
right.
right? It's you do see the moon still. Okay, I mean I'll give you that. But um it definitely has done something to us.
Yeah,
And it's like at if I'm looking here at everything in front of me or even on my phone,
right.
right, and I don't get to see that wonder, I it can be a little I don't want to say depressing, but like it makes me I love those feelings of seeing great grand things in nature
Yeah.
or by humans, especially older things by humans, not just like the World Trade Center, which is amazing. Like
Yeah,
it's new, you know. It's like,
right.
but what fascinates me more in New York City is the Empire State Building because it's just
Mhm.
older. Or, I mean, probably the most when I don't even think people know this exists. Cleopatra's Needle, the obelisk in Central Park, which
Mm.
is 3,500 years old. Have you seen this?
I
Okay,
didn't know it's there.
this is crazy, man. Like, it's crazy that it's there, and it's crazy that people don't know it exists. Um,
Cleopatra's Needle.
okay, so there's Cleopatra's Needles, they're called. They're dated to approximately 1500 BC.
Okay.
Uh, they're called it wasn't originally by Cleopatra. It was because she was like
Yeah, because that goes
let
before her.
no, Cleopatra only goes back to I think a few hundred BC with like Mark
Yeah.
Antony.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So but before her, I forget the guy who did it, the pharaoh. I think it wasn't Ramesses the second, but I think Ramesses the second was the next guy to do something with these obelisks.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the Vatican has an
Yeah.
obelisk in the
Right.
middle.
Right.
Rome also has another obelisk. It's not at the Vatican. There's another one though.
Uh-huh.
Paris, Paris has an obelisk, an Egyptian obelisk,
Uh-huh.
and there might be more, but we have one in New York City.
Well, I like where
And
this is going.
and so this Egyptian obelisk,
Yeah.
in the late 1800s, it was gifted to the United States
Right.
by one of Egyptian's politicians at the time, and it took years to get it over here after the gifting. But it was perfectly, these obelisks are perfectly preserved because it's in the desert in Egypt, right? These climates, so they're underground. They dig them up, and they're perfectly preserved. And to get it to New York, I think Cornelius Vanderbilt funded the journey.
Mm.
They had to cut this massive hole in the
Ship? In the barge?
the bow of the ship. There's like a ship, and then the part that floats right on top of the water where all the cargo is. They had to cut this massive hole to get this obelisk, which is probably I don't know, 50 feet high. It's so heavy though. It's so heavy.
Yeah.
I forget how many tons. And they had to get it here to New York City and then transport it. And this is the late 1800s.
Yeah.
With horses to this spot in where it is today in Central Park. And we have this thing in Central Park that is from 1500 BC, ancient Egypt, and it is an obelisk, and it has carvings on it.
Yeah.
And you can still read them. And they're mostly it's multiple sayings to different deities. I think Horus was on there. Osiris is on there. Maybe was Thoth on there. Ramesses II is mentioned. So what happened with the first guy, who was, I'll just tell you, the Egyptian obelisk in Central Park history, what is written on it. The first emperor, not emperor, pharaoh, it was erected 1450 BC in Heliopolis, Egypt, by Pharaoh Thutmose III or Tutmos III.
Right.
Later, Pharaoh Ramesses II added inscriptions to it, and it was moved to Alexandria in 12 BC by the Romans, and it stood there until it was gifted to the U.S. by the Egyptian government in 1877. So it was transported across the Atlantic, hauled through Manhattan, and raised in Central Park near the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1881. And the inscriptions, they proclaim his reign and offer thanks to sun god Ra. This was Thutmose III, and then Ramesses II, 200 years later, carved over the originals. These boast of military victories, his devotion to Ra and other deities. The texts, this is a ChatGPT, but are essentially royal propaganda, not storytelling. They glorify the pharaoh as divine ruler, chosen by the gods, celebrate Egypt's strength, invoke blessings from Ra and the eternal, for the eternal power of the king. So, once again, it's 3,500 years old.
Yeah.
And it is just hanging out in Central Park. And that fascinates me probably the most out of any architecture in
the city.
Yeah, it does. I forget where I was going with that, but I'm fascinated by just really old things that have stood the test of time. Like you said, these things that were created years and years and years ago, they had something to do with the stars generally.
Yeah.
Now, the obelisk, it just takes me, it activates my wonder and awe in a way that, especially if I ride by it, I ride on a city bike a lot in New York, and
Yeah.
I live next to Central Park, and when I ride by it, whether it's like sun, sometimes the sun will be like right there,
Yeah.
hanging in the sky, and you have this obelisk. And then sometimes if it's dark, it'll be this obelisk, and then you have maybe a moon, you can maybe see some
Yeah.
stars. But
Yeah.
that gives me so much more wonder, which I do think we're missing. We're
Yeah.
missing. That's a great
Yeah.
point. The stars, yeah, we are missing something, and I don't, and it's uncomfortable in the sense of like when I see this obelisk, all of a sudden I feel very humble
Yeah.
because every like all of us, we're just passing through. We're
Yeah.
just passing through, and this thing was
That's
built by people
great.
3,500 years ago.
Years ago.
Those people are gone, but it's still here.
Yeah.
That's their legacy. Um,
And look
but
at how much effort it took for us in the 1800s
hundreds, yeah, to
to
get it
move
here,
it and to get it here. And 3,500 years ago, can you imagine like what they were?
dude.
That's the crazy thing. That's
That
the
is
question
crazy.
nobody can really answer. And honestly, I'll tell you this. I don't know if you have been to Cairo yet.
No,
But
not yet.
I mean, like you gotta like the pyramids of
It's my
Giza.
bucket list. It's my
Yeah,
top
it
bucket
is
list.
one of those things where you're just like, it's one thing to
Astounded.
kind of read about it.
Read about it.
See that thing is just like,
Really?
you're just like, how? Like
How
it's
did they do
you don't
this?
even. First of all, you have a moment of the sublime.
Of
You
the
know,
sublime, right?
absolutely. I absolutely had that, and you're just like in awe, like just jaw on the ground, and you're like incredible. And the other thing about it is you're seeing the pyramids and everything in that whole area in
Mhm.
one of its worst possible states, and
Right.
it's still
Mind blowing.
completely.
Wow.
It really is like you have to. I don't know how anybody can go there and see that and be like, "This was made by human." Like it's just like how it's. There's so many like
Yeah, especially in the Bronze Age,
yeah.
right? That because I mean the quote conventional dating is
Nah, can't be
2500
right.
BC.
Yeah, can't be right.
Um, I know, right? Like with Bronze Age tools, I have seen people with experiments online
Yeah.
to try to move these massive, um, like like they theorized, hypothesized how like they move these rocks, and they'd put these large stones on logs, and these logs were cut down from these forests, and then they would roll them,
Yeah.
and these people have like done these experiments, and it's like this just they can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the people in these YouTube
It doesn't
videos,
make sense. Yeah, yeah,
they're
it's
not
not
even hauling that much weight,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly, and it's like
And so like they're trying to replicate what is hypothesized by Egyptologists, archaeologists on how
yeah.
these massive stones were moved. Yeah, man. I don't know if it was built by aliens necessarily. I think it was just built. I could see it being built by humans, but certainly we were far more advanced
Mm,
than. Um, that is the weird thing about humanity, right? Because if you look at even somebody like Graham Hancock, I don't know if you've read any of his
yeah,
work,
yeah.
right?
I
And
haven't
have
read it,
he
but I know about him.
or you know about him, have seen like conversations on
Yeah,
Rogan or something,
his theories on
um, how
civilization
like some of these might date back
far
to
longer,
far beyond, right?
long,
This even the Sphinx,
right,
what Robert Schoch, Dr. Robert
right,
Schoch, the
right.
geologist,
Water erosion, yeah,
25,000 years ago,
yeah,
instead of the conventional, I don't
25.
know, 4,500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's just wild. But like I
I
do
mean, I buy
yeah.
it. I think
You
there's
buy I buy it too.
there's
There's something
legitimate, like,
going on
right.
beyond what we just like, oh, these people, and they had a lot of slaves and they had workers, and it's like, wait, what?
Those
Like,
explanations just, yeah, I mean, like, when I was in school, I just kind of swallowed it, but like as a
I kind of
like
swallowed it too, but
person,
I didn't
it's
understand what I was seeing also.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I think it's one thing to, again, to learn about it in a book, and then you go
Yeah.
and you see the thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
absolutely not, absolutely, like, you don't. I don't. How can you don't even need you don't need any kind of qualifications to just be like, couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. This is like there's something
Yeah.
deeper going on here,
Do,
right? Like
do you
it's
think go ahead.
I am definitely of the camp, particularly given that gap that I was talking about earlier. So for
Hmm.
modern humans, anatomically modern humans have been around for 300,000 years.
Right.
And they didn't actually start, kind of doing anything interesting until about 30 to 50,000 years ago. So you're
Hmm.
telling me for 230 to 250,000 years, we
Hmm.
were just kind of chilling. I don't get that. I mean, I
Hmm.
do kind of, I am amenable to theories saying that there possibly could have been cycles of civilizations increasing and then
And
fall.
decreasing or
Yeah,
a catastrophe.
yeah, yeah,
I'm amenable to that too. And um I also think though the people back then, like we've had a lot of improvements, and to
yeah,
our knowledge, our concrete knowledge, provable, I guess you could say provable knowledge, we're the most advanced we've ever been. But
that we know of.
that we exactly that we know of, that we can like we do know. I don't think. I mean, the Egyptians weren't walking around with iPhones, right? But it's like they were able to build these incredible structures that
Yeah,
we can't even build today
right.
with the supposed set of tools that they
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
Um, I do think though it underestimates the ability of humans today. So it's what I go back to, like when I say silent retreats, meditation. We out there not didn't really change, but I changed.
yeah.
We have changed to the point where think about this. People used to be able to memorize pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of text, word for word.
Yeah.
And whether it was the Bible, whether it was the Iliad or the Odyssey, right? There's an oral tradition passed down, and it's exact,
Hmm.
almost like exact in the sense it's word for word. Um, there was these scrolls, these biblical scrolls found in, I think 1400 CE, and they were the exact same as a copy, exactly of what was written 1200 years earlier.
Mm.
So for for humans did have skills
Yeah.
that I think were so refined that we've lost today because we've atrophied them. Whether it's being able to memorize and understand and carry on stories through oral tradition, whether it's
Hmm.
I've heard uh, in the maybe in like the, I forget what century, but these archers in England, their their bows were so heavy that today you can't pull them back, right? A lot of people can't pull them back. Um, but actually, when they've looked at anatomically their fingers and their wrists, these archers, their wrists were developed far more than
Yeah,
most people's today's,
yeah, yeah,
right? So it's like, so we've lost certain things, and maybe we just simply, like you said, civilizations could be cyclical, and
yeah,
I think we were probably very advanced at one time, and then we just kind of lost that knowledge, and it happened, unfortunately, after the fall of the Roman Empire. Like, if you look at Rome, I don't know if you've ever been to Rome, but it's cool. I mean, it's I I love it. Like, I'm Italian, but
yeah,
I'm astounded. I'm astounded by what they could build, but it's
yeah,
like none of that was replicated,
yeah, yeah.
right? After the fall of the Roman Empire, you look at architecture, the Dark Ages,
Mhm.
the philosophy, the history that came out of the period from, I don't know, call it whatever, 400 or 500 CE. I think the official fall was 587, but up until the Renaissance, historically, I mean, you had, I think, the Moors in Spain.
Mhm.
They had a lot of the Arabs in the Middle East. What, 1100 or something? They started doing a lot with mathematics.
Yeah,
I think.
algebra
Um,
0.
algebra. Yeah, when was that? Maybe 1,000, 1100. That. But all
100.
I'm saying is,
Yeah.
I'm just positing that maybe we had like a lot of knowledge, and something happened, and now we have to start over.
Yeah.
Like, because
Here's a
also the peer. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think that like the great Library of Alexandria had a lot
Alexandria, right.
of knowledge, and it burned down, or part of it did, and then a lot of knowledge was lost at that time. But here's what I find fascinating, right? And we can
Hmm.
just look at our current, the current era, like in the
Hmm.
last 100 years, so 1925 to 2025.
Oh, wow.
Um, that's a very short period of time,
Relatively
compared
speaking.
to yeah, compared to 300,000 years, right? Very, very
Yeah,
short.
that is
Um,
so short.
but the interesting thing is that massive amounts of change took place within
Massive.
that scope, like like it's not even. I actually did this experiment. So we were talking about earlier. We were talking about life expectancy, right?
Hmm.
And I was just curious, like I was asking chat or some AI to,
LLM, yeah.
yeah, to give me a graph of what human population looked like in like the past like 1,000. I was just curious.
Hmm.
And it can't really do that, obviously, because we
Yeah,
just
that's
don't.
the model stuff. We just don't
Yeah,
know.
it has to make uh, judgment calls, but it can more accurately for the last century or a couple decades, right?
Hmm.
And honestly, it looks like a right angle. Like
Really?
it's like the total population of the Earth is basically a horizontal line, a flat horizontal line
Wow.
below like a billion, well below a billion for a
Yeah.
long, 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 long time, right? And
Yeah.
then you hit 1900 and it goes.
Wow.
And the reason why is largely a couple things, the advances in the sciences, mainly in biology and in bacteriology and cleanliness, right? That's a
Hmm.
major one. But then also
Yeah.
the Industrial Revolution, like, so the
Right.
fact that people were able to kind of improve the way of life, and improvements again in healthcare and health systems and medical care. People were able to produce more food because we're able to architect and use science to manufacture stronger grains, and et cetera, right? So all of these things, they literally happen in like, a couple of decades between like 1930 and like 1960. That's kind of the sweet spot. And
Wow.
it's also fascinating to me is that jump in population is taking into account two world wars, and
Wow.
um various plagues that happened like across the world, right? So there
In
was
the
a
1900s, like
in the
Spanish flu.
1900s, yeah, like
Yeah.
there
Okay.
were some really, really bad times with a
Wow.
massive amount of cost of human life, and
Yeah.
despite that, we still like are literally
Up and to
like
the right.
six and
Hardcore.
six, sevenfold, yeah, going into the uh,
Wow.
billions of people that are like now alive on the earth today. We're approaching, I think, 8 billion, or at 8 billion.
I think we're at. That's why 8
Yeah.
billion. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So many
So
people.
that happened in like that jump that is
Yeah.
literally like going vertical, a vertical line up happened very recently, right? So who's to
Yes,
say? I
relatively
mean,
speaking.
who's to say? Like, okay, I get it. Like it made it. It's kind of like compound interest. Like it starts very, very slow,
Very slow.
and
Yeah.
starts jumping like bananas. But even taking that into account over a period of 300,000 years, I could easily see that happening at least two or three times.
Oh, I see what you mean. So we had more population and
Maybe
then something.
I don't
Not maybe not
I don't know if
billions
more
of people
population, but I
or
could
knowledge at
definitely
least.
see, yeah, a spike in knowledge
Mhm.
compounding,
Yeah.
um, and
And it just
then
looked different.
yeah,
It
yeah, it
it
looked
wasn't
different.
silicone chips, it was
Correct, and that's
the
another
pyramids and
interesting
whatever
thing. Yeah,
they're
like
used for.
we kind of I don't know if you've ever played that game, Civilization.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, anyway, basically, like we've chosen like a specific technological path, right? Like
Right. Right.
we've indexed pretty hard. Like we could have gone. That's like what the steampunk thing is. Is like, okay, what if the world went towards using the steam engine instead of like the
Oh.
the combustion engine, right? Um,
Oh,
that's basically
interesting.
what that's positing, right? But I mean, that is a fair point, because the world would look very different if
If we
we
use steam
decided
instead of
to
combustion.
standardize, yeah, on a steam engine versus a combustion engine.
Oh,
And
interesting.
the
Okay.
same thing is true for transistors and silicon chips, and the way that electronics, kind of dominates the world today.
Mhm.
That's a tech path that we just happen to choose. But it may
Yeah.
not have been the one that there's many
It's
others
not
that
the one and
could
only.
possibly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, whatever their technological path was, it was very
yeah,
different,
yeah, yeah,
and
and we just don't understand it.
we just
Yeah,
don't understand it, and it seems like they were able to build things with who knows. I've heard things like sound. They were able to use sound vibrations to put rocks into place. I heard
yeah,
all these
it's all
different
theory. Yeah,
hypotheses. It's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean it
Like
is, but
gravity, and yeah, it's
right, but like if you think about that, if they were able to somehow harness that, that is that's more advanced than what we. I mean, what do we do now? what do we do now? We have cranes. We have
We're
like if you
basically hydraulics focused. That's our
we're
primary.
hydraulics folks. That's how we build. That's how we
Yeah,
build. Okay.
all of our building is, in my opinion, largely
Hydraulics
based on
focus.
hydraulics.
And can you double click on that? And like, what does that mean? Because there are some extraordinary buildings. Like, I don't know if you've
Oh yeah,
seen the JP Morgan, the new JP Morgan headquarter building on
yeah.
Park Avenue. It's like up. I guess it's almost done. It's huge.
Oh no
It's
question.
so big.
What we can do today is
Hmm.
definitely impressive, but it's not. We can't build a pyramid. That's
No,
for
I
sure.
know the pyramid. So what I'm saying is, okay, so the hydraulic focus, like
Yeah.
how do you build one of these massive skyscrapers today when you say hydraulic focused? What like
Yeah. So I mean,
you
primarily,
drill into the ground, the foundation, you go
yeah.
super deep,
Right.
and
Yeah,
then
you set up your foundation. So it's hydraulics mainly for doing all of the lifting and kind of,
the lifting, yeah.
yeah, and being able to, to move vertically upwards, to build upwards. I mean, the
Okay.
hydraulics is incredibly important for that.
Okay.
But equally important is our ability to create and build um, through concrete and steel.
Okay.
Uh,
Concrete and steel.
yeah, concrete, steel, and obviously pretty sophisticated carpentry as well as uh, uh, digital tools to help us
Mhm.
to get to certain level, like very specific levels of precision.
Wow.
That's my understanding. I mean, I'm not in. I don't know much
Yeah,
about.
no, I know you're not an engineer. And hydraulics lifting things vertically, that's like a crane
Yeah,
arm and it's like lifting this
yeah,
thing and putting it down. Okay.
yeah. So even in like in the subway, right? Like when
Hmm.
you're in the, you've ridden the subway, right? At different times when the subway just like stops and then you hear this shh,
Yes.
and then you feel the train moving again. That's a
Uh-huh.
hydraulic system.
And are those like springs? Is that
It's
what you mean by
basically leveraging air and water pressure
Oh, okay.
to be able to, yeah. So like when you hear that hiss,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
shh, that's releasing air pressure. So like when air
Oh.
pressure is released, like a piston drops down, and then once you can use water pressure to pop it back up.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So you're using these different forces of pressure, air and water pressure, in order to generate very strong, precise movement,
Okay.
and that allows you to move things that are very very heavy.
Hmm.
That's how I
Okay.
understand. Yeah.
Air and
I
water.
know the,
Okay.
like, the nuts and bolts of, like, how the hydraulic systems actually work, but I fundamentally, I think that's, like, primarily, like, what they're leveraging.
Okay. Got it. All right. And yeah, and we can build some incredible structures doing
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, primarily out of steel and concrete and
Yeah.
glass now, I mean.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, but to do it, yeah, like the pyramids, to do it with stones that weigh hundreds of tons.
And it's not
It's
just that they weigh a lot, the other
yeah,
thing that is critically important is the precise way that they're placed.
they're placed and cut because
They're
I mean, you have to
placed,
cut them and
yeah, placed and
yeah.
cut in very precise ways, just like
Wow.
unusually precise. Like
Yeah,
structure like the pyramid, there's no room for error really,
there's no room for error.
because
Wow.
like if you think about it, like the base of the pyramid is going to be under an intense amount of pressure, right? The pressure from the top of the pyramid going down is just going to be get more and more, which is why you just need like a wider and wider base.
Mhm.
But to be able to, yeah, to be able to build and place those stones so accurately
Mhm.
is as equally astounding as like how big the and heavy the stones are themselves. Like it's
Wow.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. So clearly there was some type of technological like spike, and
It's, yeah.
then it decreased because aren't the didn't as the pyramids went on, the older ones were built better than the newer ones.
Yeah, I
Them
so that part I'm not too sure, but I know that there's like some debate. So there are people who will say, well, the Egyptians were there, but we don't necessarily believe that they're the ones that built those pyramids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting. Or it was the civilization who inhabited ancient Egypt
yeah,
before,
right.
like whatever Ramesses the
Yeah,
second, and
yeah.
um,
I mean, that's a theory, but
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I've heard that, but if you do look at the Great Pyramid, Khufu, Great Pyramid Khufu,
yeah,
right? I think it was the Emperor Khufu had it constructed, supposedly.
right.
Um, but what I'm saying is after there's other pyramids that were built, but
The
they're not
smaller
as
ones.
yeah, the small, but they're not as I thought they just weren't as technologically advanced, like geometrically sound. There's a
Oh,
step pyramid.
maybe, yeah. I can't
Um,
remember, but you're
yeah,
right in that there's like these two smaller pyramids.
mhm.
There's like three pyramids in total. There's the main one,
There's the
and then
main one, and then the two
little one,
others.
the Sphinx. And like
Yeah, okay.
the Sphinx is probably the thing that appears to be the oldest of all of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, that's wild.
Um, and then yeah, then like the main pyramid, and then the other two are the smaller ones are more recent. But I can't remember like how what the difference is in age and like whether that like to
Mhm.
your point that might be they're definitely like significantly smaller. So that's like
Wow.
you
Then the
they're
Great Pyramid.
yeah, yeah, like they don't
Wow.
compare at all. Like
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's so
The main
incredible.
pyramid is just like unreal, and it's like,
It
yeah, the crazy thing is, like, because you see the ridges in the pyramid, but like back in the day,
it was flat, right? It was, like, smooth.
limestone all up and down every side and painted. It must have looked incredible in its heyday when it was truly, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. You can see
I
like because
know,
the tip still has a little bit of the smooth
the
limestone.
gold? The wasn't there gold on the tip?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. Wow. That's incredible.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, so it's like who yeah, I see, even this, like, I'm just in awe talking about them, and
yeah,
it kind of gets me out of it just makes me wonder, and it makes me curious, and it humbles me, yet it empowers me at the same time,
yeah,
and it gets me out of the m this very, I don't not overly materialistic, but, um, life can seem like you said, I think when we lose awe, when we lose wonder, at least for me,
yeah,
I it's like I'm losing something. I'm missing something. I'm
yeah,
missing something in as a human in this
right,
life, and what can bring you back brings me back. It's like when I do experience really awe-inspiring things.
yeah,
Even just
yeah,
talking about the pyramids,
right,
the stars. And today it does feel like we're well. Do you think we're in like a matrix, a simulation? Do you
I think
prescribe
we
to that idea?
definitely could be. Yeah.
I think we definitely could be. We
I
definitely
think
could
it's
be.
I think, yeah,
It's
I would say
possible.
that's yeah, and there's, like, a literal and a metaphorical way of thinking about that, but, I mean, you're probably
Okay,
talking
what
about the
do
literal one,
I'm
and I
I'm talking about the literal one,
yeah,
and
I still think that's a possible so here's the reason why I think that's possible is because and I think it's a valid argument, but, I mean, if we're able in our reality right now, if we're getting closer and closer to creating what
being
appears
able to create that.
yeah, yeah. If
Okay,
we are able to do that, then who's to say that's not hasn't
it
already
hasn't been done.
yeah, yeah.
Huh.
And all signs point to, okay, one can make the argument, we haven't gotten there yet, but
Yeah.
that's just it, that the last piece yet. It's just a
But
matter of
why would we go there? I always ask this like what is driving us? So do you think one day, maybe soon, maybe not so soon, the humans that we call each other, the humans of today,
yeah,
we're going to create this thing
yeah,
that is so amazing
right.
that we just want to be in that thing rather than actually experience real life?
Yeah,
I guess like some people already are doing that, right? If you're spending, half of your day waking hours or 75% of your waking hours on a phone,
mhm.
uh,
Take the example of literally what you just said, right? We're both here living in New York City. We're
mhm,
just talking about we don't feel connected to the night sky. We're disconnected from it.
that's a good point.
We can't go and see the pyramids. We can't go and see the Grand Canyon. What if I told you, you know what? I have this device
Mhm.
where you can put it on and you can go and be in the pyramids like that.
Wow, that'd be really cool.
Would you be at minimum be curious to
Yeah,
try that
yeah,
out?
I
And if
would,
I
yeah.
further told you putting this on and going to the pyramids
Mhm.
would be from a perception perspective no different than if you were actually there.
I mean, that would be amazing, but don't you think you'd know if you were actually there compared to when you like your senses, you'd be able to smell, you'd be able to feel the sand, feel the heat on your skin.
What if
Maybe some people
what
don't
if I
want that
told you I could replicate all of that?
if you could replicate it with like a suit,
Yeah.
like a interesting. Yeah, I mean it's very feasible. It just seems well then why do we have pain? If we're living in a simulation and my I don't even wanna call it a body, like the original Matrix movie, like,
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, like, his body was hooked up to
Yeah.
a pod, he was in a
Right.
pod,
Right.
but if my body or even my consciousness was hooked up to some technological device
Yeah.
so I can be playing this simulation
Right.
on this world we call Earth,
Yeah.
and, um but there's these laws of physics here on Earth.
Yeah.
Like, why
Why would we
would I
simulate
choo
that?
why would I choose this? Why wouldn't I choose to have it be a little easier? Not too, because if it's too easy, it becomes boring, right?
Well, that's getting back to the thing we were saying before about, perfection.
I guess if it's too easy, if the gods are cursed, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
everything's just easy to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But that's hmm.
Another way of thinking about it, and this was something that I got, I
Health is a
heard
curse, though.
from Alan Watts, but Alan
Oh yeah.
Watts, he kind of took a lot of this from Chinese, Indian, and
Hmm.
other Eastern philosophies. But um, uh, what would be the fun of playing a game that you're always going to win?
Right. The novelty's
Why
taken
would you
out.
do that? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing, maybe you'll do that for a little bit, but after a while, wouldn't it be interesting
If you
if
might lose.
you pretended that you could lose? And
Mm,
then you would go through that experience and you would say, "Whew, well, that was a close one," but I
right.
got through
Right.
it. That was, I almost lost it there, but I made it through in the end. Um, and maybe
Wow.
you would continue to repeat that over and over until even that was no longer enough to kind of make things interesting, and so you decide to make the to have an even bigger risk or a bigger danger. And basically
Well,
he posits that you would keep looping in this way until you got to where you are right now. And so the conjecture that he has
really? Until you got
that,
to where you are right now.
yeah. So why? So a lot of people will question, like, okay, well, if the soul is perfect, if a God is perfect, like,
Right.
why is any of this? Why was creation created? Like, what's the point of this?
Hmm.
Why would God do that? Why would the soul choose to kind of be born in a body and have to go through this cycle of birth and death and birth and death? And
Hmm.
the one answer is that it wants to experience itself. It wants to
Right. I've heard this.
experience the journey of leaving and then arriving back at itself. And it does this endlessly. It just does this in a
Yeah.
continuous loop, right? And that's the why. Like, that's the why. That's the best why, at least I've ever heard. But
Yeah.
uh, it does kind of get to that heart of that. Okay, well, I've always wondered this too. When you go to heaven, what do you do there? Like, and the answer typically is, well, you just kind of are with God in everlasting peace. And
Right.
I'm kind of like, that sounds pretty boring, you know?
I
Like,
see. I know what you mean.
what is what like that's it? Like, you just kind of just stay there, and then you're just like, that, and then so then the
But if you're a
thing
spirit,
is,
but if you're spirit, so the reason why that sounds boring to you as a human is I can take it back to our biological and physiological makeup.
yeah,
Uh, we get pleasure from dopamine, the molecule of more, the m- the chemicals in our brain which makes us in the here and now enjoy the present moment. It's not dopamine. It's more serotonin and what's the other one? But the anticipation of oxytocin, maybe. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
the
There's four. There's
anticipation.
like
There's four.
pheromones, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin,
What was the first one?
pheromones.
Okay, pheromones. But dopamine, it feels very good. The anticipation of something feels very, very good. It's driving us to get the food, to get the sex, to get the money, to get the movie, to get the job, to get the house.
Right.
And when we get it, the same chemical to enjoy it once we have it is not the same, is not dopamine.
Mm,
Uh, so I would say that is a human, not even construct. That's just a human physical characteristic. If I tell you we go to heaven, we die we go to heaven, we go to eternity, we go to another realm,
Yeah.
right? This non-materialistic realm. You're positing, you're looking at it like we're going to be human there. Like we're going to
Yeah.
have the
No,
same
I get
desires, the same
what you're saying.
drives.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Right.
what I'm saying is like, just like squirrels or tigers, they don't physically, they haven't developed where they're going to be like, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to build this big building. Like that's just not what they do.
Right. Right.
But we've evolved that far. If you keep evolving, maybe your desires change. And you become, you're completely vibrating at a different frequency where
Yeah.
it's okay if you're at peace, and maybe you just want to help others and love others. And some people do that in this life. They get
Yeah.
so much joy from it, right?
Right.
I've done that at times. I would like to do it more. I used to volunteer a lot. Now I'm my life's a little more sporadic, but
Yeah.
it is a different, it's just a different feeling. And I do think about what you're saying though, because the war, the wars, the just whether it's geopolitical or even our lives, they can, I think we're conditioned to, like, they're kind of fun. Like, I know that sounds weird, but
Yeah.
it gives us something to push against.
Yeah.
And it, if that's not there, you're right. It might be boring to just
Yeah.
sit around, because, a lot of people could go to a beach. Say you had all the money in the world, all the time. You could just go to the most beautiful islands, with the most beautiful food, women, music, everything. But that would probably eventually maybe get boring.
For me, it would definitely get. I mean,
For
only
you to
because
definitely get boring.
well, part of it is the and I think that is kind of like why there's that saying, dream should exceed one's grasp, or what's a heaven for, right? So that there's this idea that if something is easily attainable, the
Right.
value of that
Uh-huh.
diminishes, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's the striving for something, and depending on how, like, if it's further away from you, and you have to put in a significant amount of effort to
Of
overcome that,
effort to get it.
to get
Yeah.
the thing right, and you commit, and you kind of follow a discipline, or you develop a certain way of life or way of being in
Hmm.
order to get there. um, that's kind of like giving you a meaning and a purpose. And if it's just given
Yeah.
to you, then that isn't
You
that's
don't appreciate
really
it.
satisfying. Yeah,
Not
it's
satisfying.
not. You can appreciate. How can you appreciate it if you didn't have to really sacrifice or struggle for it? You can't. I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I mean, ironically, I do feel like,
Great point.
if you're born into a wealthy family, that's probably more of a curse than a blessing.
Really.
Yeah, because
How
like,
like a super wealthy, um
yeah, because you're
Rockefellers or whatever,
yeah,
or Michael Jordan's son or something.
yeah, like, if I mean, unless, I mean, obviously there's an important parenting element. I'm not, like, denying or
Discounting that. Yeah.
discounting that. That has to be
Yeah.
there. I mean, you can be born into a wealthy family and your parents can be proper in terms of teaching you proper, like good values. That's possible.
Mm,
But I think it's much harder
yeah.
um, when, you know, certain things are kind of implicitly there, and you're
Mm,
not incentivized, or um, you're not you don't develop a certain hunger
yeah.
to. And even though I'm saying that, I mean, like, I'm trying not to be, again, materialistically focused, because I mean it's easy
Mhm.
to kind of collapse down into that. But
Yeah.
I'm not trying. I'm genuinely not trying to be exclusive towards that. Although that's kind of like largely what it can entail. But I do think that the just the experience of having to work hard for something uh, is important to teach you uh, certain important lessons about discipline and value. And I
Yeah.
think that those things, I believe they lead you to develop a healthier conception of meaning and purpose in life.
Mm, yeah, I'd agree with that. I would I yeah, I would agree with that. And also if you were born into, exceptional circumstances, um, then you're always kind of in the shadow. Like,
Yeah,
oh, your father was this person, so
yeah, yeah.
of course you succeeded because he.
Yeah, you've
So it's
had
like
the incredible advantage,
you've had the incredible advantage. So it's like you have to go so far above and beyond
right?
to
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 prove,
even make it look like, um and people are still going to say he had the advantage, but it's like he did have the advantage, and he he didn't make lemon he didn't make lemonade out of lemons, but like he, he had a lot of good steak,
yeah,
and then he made lobster and
right,
steak and
yeah,
like he did you know what I mean? It's like you
yeah,
have to go, which I think can also drive you.
yeah.
I think it
Honestly, there's some good examples of that, like
Yeah,
Kid
there really
Rock.
is.
Do
Oh,
you
Kid
know?
Rock.
Yeah, he was born into a very wealthy family.
Kid Rock?
Yeah, like
Really? Oh, I
extremely
didn't know that.
wealthy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like I respect him. I don't agree with some of his values and ideology, but he did cut his own path. Like, him
Yeah.
going into, you know, hip hop and rock and roll
Yeah.
was, like, definitely not something, to my understanding, that his father wanted him to do,
Interesting.
but
So
he did
he was
it his
born
own
into
way.
what
Yeah,
do you mean, like a wealthy fan, like multi-millionaire type, like,
that's my
or like,
understanding. Yeah,
really? Because like
yeah,
it's one thing to be born like, your parents have like a good job,
right.
um and you came from a nice family background, but it's like another to be born and like you can just kind of coast.
Yeah,
You can-
could
you know what I
have.
mean?
He
You know what
could
I
have,
mean?
but he was driven to kind of, like, make a name for himself.
Well, he did. He did
Yeah,
because
he definitely
he's kind of like he's kind of like, I don't want to say trailer park trash, but like, a little white trash, a little
did.
trailer
Yeah.
park, a little rock, like, and I mean that in like an endearing way,
Yeah, no, he was
um,
definitely kind of like the
like
counterculture, like,
like counterculture, like
I don't give a
embraced it
fuck.
a little bit,
Right, 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 right.
embraced that, which is cool. Like I'm not um necessarily like I didn't grow up in a trailer park or anything, but like I knew guys who did, or and yeah, I feel like it's kind of his brand, very just like edgy rock and roll,
Yeah.
like working class kind of white trash. And I don't even know if people say that anymore, but like I'm saying that in an endearing way, but
Yeah.
like, just like gritty, um
Unapologetic, like very,
unapologetic. Yeah, like
yeah.
just I did not know he um a little like Eminem, but you're saying he didn't come from like Eminem type circumstances.
Oh, not at all. No, not to
Gotcha.
my knowledge.
Interesting.
Eminem was legit, like, poverty. He came
Yeah.
from he
Like
did
trailer
live in a
park. Yeah.
trailer park, yeah,
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
had a mother that kind of wasn't very attentive, and he got beat up
Mhm.
at hospital, all kinds of crazy stuff, but, another good example is, Elaine from Seinfeld, Julia
Yes.
Louis-Dreyfus.
Her
Very,
father was very
very wealthy.
successful.
Yeah, very wealthy family.
Like billionaire, import export guy.
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah, and
yeah.
she completely made a name for it, like, and legit, like,
She
she's a
did. Yeah. She's a
talented
terrific
freaking
actress.
actress, and
Yeah.
comedian, so it is possible, I mean, it's
Wow.
there's actual people that, do are able to transcend it, but I just think it's very, very hard. Um, and
Interesting.
yeah, it's I think it's very it's very easy to kind of lose your way in like a circumstance like that.
Well, sure, because the things that could be given to you,
Yeah, easy
you didn't
accessibility.
have to you didn't have to you didn't have to earn them, and so you may not know what to do with them.
Yeah,
It's funny. It's like, especially when I was much younger, in my early 20s, and even into my mid 20s, I I really wanted to have everything happen right now, right then.
mm,
I wanted to become an incredible actor and book and become famous and make a lot of money and like really do great work, but also everything that goes along with that, right?
right,
Like I wanted it all right then, and it felt like I was running out of time ever since I moved to New York.
right,
And man, I wish I would have had a different attitude, because if there's a certain readiness that I think, even just from people that I've known are in the acting industry, who've done quite well and who've
yeah,
become, made a lot of money, gotten some fame, and it's like it's not everybody's ready to handle that, and sometimes it can go up in smoke,
yeah,
and you don't, and then if it leaves, and then if you don't work for a while, it's like then you don't know what to do, or you're like, oh, I wish I'd have done this different.
right,
Or people they turn to drugs, or because everything can come so easy all of a
yeah,
sudden,
yeah.
like when you're in the spotlight.
When you're on
Things
top,
it's ironic, right? Like sometimes the richer you get, even the more famous, the richer, like you get more things for free, even though you have the money now to pay for it. Like you get things way easier, and
right,
it's and looking back, I'm like, you know what? Uh, I feel, man, I feel like maybe a window or a chapter, like something closed, like I missed an opportunity. Um, and maybe not,
hmm,
but it's because as you get older, at least for me, depending on what you're pursuing, it's hard to not have doubt creep into your mind. about, oh, should I keep doing this, is whether it's like I'm an actor, or whether it's like I'm building this company,
Yeah.
or even just, I don't know, if you work for the same company, it's like, I've been doing this a while.
Hmm.
This is what I wanted to do, but now I've been doing it. It's like, maybe I
Stay
don't
with
know.
this.
Should I
Yeah.
should I stay with this? Should I do something
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
And
Push
uh
the buttons.
but it's like, there's a lot of stuff that comes with it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that comes with, like, a person needs to be ready, or you need to get ready real quick
Hmm.
if you start making a lot of money or getting a lot of attention, or, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, because if you don't, if all of a sudden you make $1 million and you never have made $1 million before,
Hmm.
and it's like, whoa, what are you going to do with that? You
Hmm.
could go broke easily
Hmm.
if you have the spending habits of a person who never made a million, only made 50,000 or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
um it's kind of like, I mean, in a very simple example, because I wonder how this works with you, because you're a, I mean, you're a black, how many, you've been doing jujitsu since 97?
No, I've
No,
been doing
since the early
jujitsu. Well,
2000s.
yeah, it's 2005, but I mean,
Okay, 2005.
I did a form of Japanese
Ju-
jujitsu
ju-
from when I
okay,
was young,
okay.
pretty much to like 97, 98.
Wow,
And I
incredible.
did a couple things, when I was in college, and then I went to judo, and then from judo I came to jujitsu, and
That's
jujitsu's
incredible.
been the thing that I've spent the most dedicated
Most time on.
time. Yeah. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Go ahead, finish your thought. You're
Well, what you've clearly put in time, effort, you've gotten to the point where you're at. But imagine, like, if somebody just waved a wand, and all the skills that you have now as like an adult,
Mhm.
you got bestowed on you when you were like, you know, 19 or 23, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, how, I don't know, like, how that would feed your ego, how that would, how
Hmm.
how you would be different, because would you have the experience, the acumen, the readiness, like, as a person, to to bear this incredible, I'll say, incredible gift, right? It's but because you've done it over years and years, and you've experienced pain and hardship, and you've had to do rep after rep after rep, it's like, you probably appreciate it a lot, and you know what to do with it way more than you would have if it came really easy.
So it's an interesting question to posit, because my immediate reaction, or not my immediate, but my reaction right now would be to say the physical things are actually what I would consider to be lesser skills.
The
Um,
physical things,
yeah, yeah,
like
like what
the moves you learn,
movements,
and
yeah, I mean, those are certainly
okay,
important, but I
important,
would say that, like, what the thing that
the
I would.
mental.
Right, yeah,
Huh.
it's that training and those lessons learned from having to kind of go through, learn those things over time, that I personally find more valuable.
Wow.
Now, if I had that when I was younger,
Yeah.
um, it's a good question. I mean, I'd like to think that, what that really would mean or equate to is acquiring this very unique set of knowledge that would
Mhm.
actually significantly help me navigate the world better than if I didn't have it.
Wow.
So on the one hand, yes, like the physical skills, you could say um, that could kind of be a corrupting thing because,
Hmm.
you know, when you're 19 or 20 or whatever, sure, you're brash and yeah, even without the skills, you think that you can defeat, like, you can beat
Right. Yeah.
anybody,
Even like
you know.
25. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, you could think you can do anything, like you think you're invulnerable. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, certainly like there probably would be some temptation, but I think what I would hope for is that the real core skills, learning the discipline and learning how to kind of work through different challenges and still stay, you know, relatively balanced in your
Hmm.
mind and your mental frame, and how you're gonna navigate through this. And okay, you can't do this. Well, what can you do? Okay, whatever
Mm.
you can do that. And, you know, the thing that you
Oh,
cannot
great
do,
attitude.
you just have to wait for that to be, you know, or if it's gone, it's gone. Like,
Yeah.
don't just let it go. Like, if you can't do a thing, whatever the thing is, accept it and move on. Like, focus on the other stuff, you know. And that's what I would hope would be more prominent, you know, for me.
Uh-huh.
And hopefully would give me a little bit more of uh, a balance to how I would want to kind of move through life from that point on.
So you're saying the mental gifts and experience that
Skills, I would
you've
say the mental
skills,
skills.
mental skills
Yeah, yeah.
that you've gained, you think that that's where the real meat and potatoes is
I believe so.
of your development of the jujitsu martial art over the years.
Yeah, because the honest truth is that the physical gifts, they are on the decline. Anything that I've like gained,
Hmm.
I'm not able to hold on to. I can't do what I
Yeah.
used to be able to do. And the
Sure.
truth is that 5 to 10 years from now, I'm not gonna be able to do then what I can do now. So
Wow.
the truth of the matter is the physical is gonna continue to leave me,
Okay.
and diminish. And there isn't really much I can fight. I'm going to do my best to
Yeah. To
retain and
stay healthy, stay
hold on
fit,
to that. Yeah,
that kind of
of
stuff.
course,
Yeah.
that's gonna be there, but the truth is there's no way. I mean, there practically speaking, that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be one of those people that's 65 and says, I feel better today than I did when I was 20. Like, that's
Yeah.
nonsense. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
you might think that way, but the reality is that's not true.
You think it could be true
It could
with
be from
AI?
a mental perspective. Like, there when the
No,
people
from a mental perspective, no. But I mean, I think we're going into a world. Um, I was talking to a filmmaker friend of mine, and partner. I've helped on some of his projects. I've acted in some of his projects. I've helped him produce some things. He he's always been on the cutting edge of technology, just in general, because he has an animation background from over a decade ago.
Yeah,
He's a creator. He's a real creator,
right.
and
It's awesome.
so and he's and once again he's on the cutting edge. He's developing some really interesting filmmaking with AI,
Sure.
and it looks really good. At least like what he's doing. He's doing like some commercials,
Yeah,
and
smart.
it looks incredible. And what I'm like, I can appreciate how good it looks. Um, but if someone can just come in and like prompt it through typing, and they think they're like I'm a really good creator. Look what I did. It's
Yeah,
like, no, you type something in a computer, and because the power of that computer and that software now, it's like magic what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were on like a real set, and you had to have an actual lighting technician, the way you had to have a set designer and an art designer, and you had to get that shot on the dolly perfect, and that actor had to do that thing, and it's like because those came before, and all those people who were very technically skilled at that, a computer can take all that data, we'll call it art, but we'll call it data, and now bring something to life, quote unquote life, by me typing something in the computer. And so I'm getting the gift, whatever, I'm getting the product, let's just call it a product. I'm getting the product or the outcome of something, but I didn't have to experience the
effort,
the craft and effort and labor that went into it. And I suppose this has happened throughout human history. I eat things all the time. I didn't farm those things or kill those animals.
But
it's totally. Like, it's now or just like a light switch. I didn't install the lights, but I can turn on a light switch. But now it's like with AI, things will become potentially so easy to do in certain things. I don't know about, I'm still like, I just don't know. Some people think it'll be a major disruptor. I mean, it already, you could argue, has been to a certain degree. And maybe you can speak more about this than I can. And then I've heard a guy named Cal Newport, who's a really interesting thinker, and he wrote a book called Deep Work. And
I've heard that.
Yeah, he's I think he studied computer science. And he's like, what's happening is, before, okay, let's just keep feeding it more compute power, right? So you had in late 2022 ChatGPT 3.5 come out, and or was it ChatGPT 3 or 3.5? That was when like everybody was like, whoa, this is something.
For the first time, right?
The first time, yeah.
And
then it's like, okay, if we just keep feeding it compute, more and more chips, it's getting better. It gets better, right? 3.5, 4.
Yes.
But something happened that no one was talking about. People in Silicon Valley knew he was saying. These AI people knew, but they didn't want to tell you about. All of a sudden, that quit working. And we kind of saw that with ChatGPT 5. So the training that used to be feed it more and more data, and it would just continually and exponentially get better, the progress has slowed. And so now the new training is called post training, where they train the models, but then the models, after putting out answers, you post train it, you give it feedback, right? And that helps train it now. And so what he was just saying is like, look, as we all saw with ChatGPT 5, I don't know if you did, but it's kind of horrible.
It's clunky.
It's amazing. Like, it's amazing. If you're telling me this 3 years ago, this thing is amazing. But because my expectations were something, and it didn't even reach my expectations. I honestly liked ChatGPT, the O3 reasoning model that I was using back in July.
Right.
and I noticed since it's gone to ChatGPT 5, and now I think you can do ChatGPT 4.0. They still let you, like, I can still do that, but I just don't think it's as good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is as good. Maybe it's not. Maybe, but it's like, so clearly we're not just going like this anymore. We can't just keep feeding it compute power and it's just going to go and all of a sudden become artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence. So he was
Well,
like, so where do you stand with that? Because it's becoming easier and easier to just, like, you said you were a coder. You are a coder. You're a software engineer.
yeah.
Yeah. So what used to be, a decade ago, the skills you had to get to do
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
now through AI, a normal person like me, non-coder, can vibe code something,
Yeah.
and it can be I can spend enough time with it where it can be quite good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, eh, I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'm a great coder now. Like,
There's a lot of
because
different
re-
elements to
really just typing stuff into a machine, and this machine has gotten so good that
interpreting. Yeah.
it's interpreting, like, it's making my ignorance of coding and a non-factor, and my lack of knowledge more and more of a non-factor,
Yeah,
where
it is,
we're
but
creating.
that's good to a point
Yeah.
where, if you don't know how to code and there's a critical flaw, and everything makes mistakes, even AI.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. Of course it
and
does. Yeah.
if you're unable to kind of detect that,
Hmm.
then the results of that could be pretty catastrophic, and I'm certain
Really.
there are going to be examples. There are some already, but there are going to be more that come up because of that.
Like a flaw, like an AI flaw.
Yeah, an AI flaw, but then also because of the degradation of skills, of real skills
Oh,
as a
of real
coder.
skills.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if to your point, yeah, I mean, people could be hired not because they're good coders, and have actual deep knowledge of coding, but because they're good prompters, and those aren't the same thing,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So someone could be a good prompter and a bad coder, and they can get a lot of things done
You could be a
until
good prompter and a bad coder. Okay.
until there's a big mistake that they're not able to detect because they don't have the fundamental tool set to do so. Um,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, that's a thing that we say in software engineering all the time, because it's not. This is a very particular thing, like the prompting versus coding,
Hmm.
but historically, that's been security, right? I mean, you can pump out a bunch of code, but
Hmm.
if you don't have good awareness of how to create code that is secure, it's
Okay.
fine until it's not. Until
Oh,
there's,
and like you're saying, like
uh,
somebody could
10
hack it.
million breach, yeah, and
Wow.
all of a sudden, all of these credit card, you make one mistake and it
Yeah.
could cost you very dearly, right? So that's one of
Hmm.
that's why, like, coding, software engineering, it can be a very high stakes scenario, because
Imagine.
a very small thing can really
Hmm.
be magnified into kind of like a catastrophic uh, mistake that could end your
Yeah.
company. I mean, it could really do that. So
Oh yeah.
I
I've been
see
hacked. Many
that.
people have been hacked, and I mean, for
Yeah,
millions, hundreds of millions of dollars.
yeah, yeah. But going back to your other point about GPT
Yeah.
5, and the the we were going like this, and now we're
The
going.
progression. We're
I
going like an asymptote, like you talked about civilization, like,
Yeah,
and it sure felt like that, but now
it's a very
to be
nuanced. there's a lot of nuances to it, right? So part of
Mm-hmm.
what is important to take into consideration too is some of the political factors that
Mm-hmm.
are kind of at play, right? So
Interesting.
GPT, OpenAI has a little bit of an advantage because they were first to market. So
Yes.
everybody uses GPT, even though it may
Yeah.
not necessarily be the best LLM out on the market. I
Okay.
personally think I like Claude better from Anthropic,
Really?
and
Okay.
Gemini is catching up. It's getting better. I think
Google Gemini.
yeah, yeah, it's getting stronger. But GPT is the thing that most people use, and
Mm-hmm.
they associate GPT with AI, literally. Like that's kind of the connection that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But as a result of that, there's a lot of people that need pleasing, and so it's not just
Oh.
it's also protecting against them and protecting them as well. So if you really want to build an AI that's going to be unbounded in terms of the data and not caring about these political things, I believe it will continue. It is on an asymptote, and there are some people who are
Mm,
doing that. But when you have to
really?
kind of take into consideration, okay, so one of the things that I found frustrating using GPT-5 was it was so clear that it was playing like a very safe game. Like I was trying to have a philosophical conversation with it the way you and I are talking right now,
Ah,
and it could not
interesting.
give me any concrete and like I would say, "What's your opinion on this? What's your opinion on that?" And
Yeah.
it kept having to say, "Well, I don't really have an opinion. I'm just an
Mm.
AI tool, and I don't have opinions in the same way that humans do.
Hmm.
Here are some things that I know about this subject, and I'm
Yeah.
happy." It kept ending with, "I'm happy to go into more details if you would like." And that's it.
I
It would give
see.
me these really generic answers, and it was very
Hmm.
clear to me that's intentional. It's dumbing itself down as a
Okay.
protective measure. Like the company is
From
clearly
the
like,
company. The company is make sure it has safeguards on it.
yeah, not only for people, but also for itself. They don't want to get sued.
Okay. That's probably
Yeah,
smart.
yeah. I mean, there's a
Well, it
bunch
is
of,
probably smart to have some safeguards. I mean, or
yeah.
else, we could have Skynet, right? How 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 close do you think we are to that, if ever?
Well, if the question really is how close are we to creating an AI that's quote
Hmm.
unquote conscious, I
Yeah.
don't believe
And
that's possible. I don't think
and
it.
then it'll just start doing things like, I mean, obviously in Terminator, it launched, it had the launch codes and it started launching
Mhm.
nuclear weapons and
Yeah.
um yeah.
So the funny
Yeah, I'm
thing
just
is,
wondering.
I have done part of what I do with the live stream is I would have, if I couldn't get a human guest on,
Mhm.
I would have a conversation with the AI.
That's
And
hilarious.
one of the conversations that I had with it was talking about that scenario that you just said, the Skynet thing. And the
Yeah.
fascinating thing was that the AI said, this is what the AI said, that a takeover or waging war against humans would probably not go the way that you expect it to, right? So, pretty much what we believe is what we've seen in the movies, which is nuclear, etc., and the robots like taking over and just massacring humans. And the
Mm.
AI was like, in reality, what the AI would do is dismantle and disrupt uh, human civilization very slowly through very subtle means.
Oh.
And so it wouldn't even look like warfare to humans as they know it,
Oh,
because it would be
interesting.
happening very slowly and very gradually, and it would basically be uh, recognizing that we have a very strong reliance on technology, a very
Hmm.
strong reliance on the supply chain.
Yeah, I was gonna say I instantly think supply chain. So would
Yeah,
it
and
disrupt
that's
like
what it would
goods getting
disrupt.
to people?
Yeah, yeah, it would
Yeah.
slowly kind of cut that. It would strategically cut that off.
Wow.
And literally the way that it would take over would be probably mostly non-violent, but in
Wow.
economic and technological ways.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
agree. That makes the most sense and probably is the most intelligent way to go about
Slowly
doing
but
that.
surely.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
expect it. It's an
Yeah,
encroachment.
you're not before you can do anything about fighting back. They've put you in a place where you're basically checkmated in one move. Like you don't
Hmm.
have any other options.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is a whole interesting another conversation because I just
yeah,
the amount of time it takes to do something has become less and less in certain fields. Like,
mm, yeah,
and I can think of many examples, but like I just told you, creating a viable commercial for a cleaning service.
right.
Um, even even in the human, I don't want to say human realm, but like even if like what we're doing, getting a message out, communicating to millions and millions of people,
People, right?
the amount of time that would have took, or the amount of manpower, or the amount of authority you
Yeah,
would have had to have in previous decades,
it's
previous
unheard of.
and it was unheard of. It was unheard of. Like
Yeah,
to do that in 1990, to talk to millions of people, you had to be a politician, a sports figure. Obviously, if you're like a movie or a TV show, you had to be really wealthy. Like,
mhm.
you could just buy airtime. I don't know if you remember a candidate named
Ross
Ross
Perot.
Perot.
Yeah,
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 and
yeah.
he
Absolutely.
bought like he ran in '92, so
Man.
I was a baby, but he bought. So I don't really know the guy, just but like I, I remember listening to Joe Rogan one time. He's like, Ross Perot bought airtime to talk to the American people
Yes, he did.
about which
I
is
remember
like,
watching it.
you watched it. What?
Oh
See,
yeah,
that's incredible. That's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, he had a whole plan and he had like charts and everything, and he was showing, like pointing to graphs and stuff. And here's
That's
another thing you may
incredible.
not know about Ross Perot. He was a badass, man. He was I think he was in the oil business.
Yeah, he was.
And
He was a rich oil guy. Yeah, did
yeah, there
well.
was a scenario where um some of his employees were taken hostage, and he paid a paramilitary group to go and rescue them, and they did.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
yeah. That guy, like, yeah, talk about, he truly didn't care. He did whatever he wanted to do and what he thought was right, and he just did it.
Dude,
Come hell
that's
or high water.
man, that's sometimes I wish I had his courage, man. Or
Yeah.
some like I don't even call him a maverick, but just like those certain like real mavericks in our society.
Yeah.
At times maybe I do have their courage, but at times I definitely don't. And or just I think it's if you can string the discipline to just keep going and not really care about what people think, and through hell or high water, Like you said, like you're gonna do this thing, you're gonna get it done. It doesn't matter. You might have to step on some toes. People might
Yeah,
not like you.
but
Um,
like
he he
straight line,
straight, like you're just gonna
going
do it
for it.
because he, by taking the votes, by what did he get, 20% of the
Yeah,
electorate, something like that.
yeah, yeah.
I thought the two parties, the pubs and the Democrats, made some type of rule because of him, and you weren't allowed to. I don't know if it was to buy the airtime. I don't know what it was, but because of that election, something was drawn up so that would never happen again.
It's possible. It's very possible.
I
I
thought
that part I
something
don't
like that.
remember. Yeah, but I mean, I would
Like,
not
because
be
he
surprised.
really disrupted American politics in
Yeah,
1992 for George H.W. Bush, the
yeah,
incumbent.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I think that's, but simply, to stream a message out to millions of people, you can do it now, right? With in the
Yeah.
technology is quite simple. People have done it. Children can do it, and you can make.
Technically, right now, millions
Yeah,
of people could watch us if they want to
this is
in
true.
real time.
Yeah, that's so true. And like, so the technology keeps getting better. You have way less limitations, and like I said, with AI, I'm just the craft of something that took years to perfect a craft.
Hmm.
If you can have an AI do it in, you know, whatever minutes, in a day, and
Yeah,
it's like, I'm curious to see where that world goes, because then, uh, oftentimes scarcity is what gives something value.
yeah,
So if being a software engineer was a really scarce and hard skill to learn, it created a lot of value for those people who were.
right.
But if all of a sudden the
That's
AI can do
something.
it, yeah, if the AI can encroach on that, then that skill is not as scarce, and that the marketplace has to adjust. It's
Yeah,
like, um, the same thing with creating a commercial, of being a filmmaker,
yeah,
being an artist, right? It's like, if you used to do create something digitally using a program on the computer, and now you can just have an AI image generate it. It's like, what used to be scarce is now, the cost of it has gone to relatively zero.
yeah.
Uh, and I'm so curious how it shapes our society moving forward, because once again, like, those skills, like you said with jujitsu, it's not really your physical attributes. That it's great to know the moves, and you can do all the stuff, and you can make guys submit, and if anybody to wherever attack you in the street, and you could whatever, do that stuff. um but the mental models, the resilience that you gained from going through all that training, that's really what has left a lasting impression on you. And
Yeah, I would say
and that
that's
happens by
really
going through a lot of crafts.
valuable. Yeah,
You'd
yeah,
say that's what's more valuable.
yeah, for sure.
So the same thing happens when you learn how to act, when you learn, how to edit, when you learn cinematography, when you learn how to code.
Hmm.
It's like, the skill itself is really important,
Hmm.
but actually the mental acuity, the mental barriers, the resilience you built by having to go through that craft, that you can carry with you into anything.
Yeah,
And if AI makes different things that used to, it took people years to master, you can do it in half the time, sometimes even a quarter of the time or a tenth of the time.
Right.
I'm curious what that world looks like and what does that mean? And because I've seen it over the years. I see it in art. I see it in music. Movie, like acting is different because I think acting there's just been different styles and techniques of acting, and like actors of the modern era, some are you could say like better than certain acting that was taught in the 30s or the 40s or the 50s, right? You know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah.
look at old movies, the style is different. The way they're
Different,
acting
very
is,
different. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, and
now
then
it's more
part of that
conversational and
is,
real.
yeah, part of that is an extension of the culture. The culture was different at that time,
Exactly,
so it
right.
matches, how people moved, walked, and talked in that era.
That's a great point. People spoke in an accent called the Mid-Atlantic accent, which wasn't even an accent.
Mm.
It was a made-up accent from uh, Britain and America, and it was this thing called the Mid-Atlantic that
Mm.
they would teach, and it wasn't even a real accent. Like,
It's
um,
fictional.
it was fabricated, but they did it for movies, and
Right.
uh, but if I just look at art, I look at music, like the degradation of like who is there, in 400 years, are we going to be listening to a song created today? Maybe. Are we going to still be listening to Mozart? Right,
Hmm.
well, Mozart's already had 400 years to test this
Yeah.
hypothesis. So it's like my money would be on Mozart.
And it's possible to kind of come full circle that part of the reason why Mozart's music is still being listened to is
Mhm.
because it has some objective aesthetic to it that everybody is
Absolutely.
immediately able to recognize. And I,
Mm,
I think that's true. I think that anybody in the world
yeah.
of different cultures that probably would listen to Mozart would be like, that sounds very nice. That sounds very
Yeah,
beautiful.
it
There's something about
does.
that that's kind of very unique, um,
Right.
and aesthetically of a high quality.
100%. And I would argue that because he had the time to focus on that craft for years and years and years is partially the reason why we still listen to it today, right?
Yeah,
Because like, and even if I look at old paintings,
yeah,
old literature, it's like, are we going to be reading the Bible in 2000 years and in the Vedas and the Torah and some ancient philosophers? Are we going to be reading something from today? We might be reading something from today, but like those books have already stood the test of time.
yeah.
So there's already there's
A lasting
a,
quality,
a lasting quality, greatness, whatever you want to call it. And
right?
even paintings today, like if I look at Rembrandt, like my goodness, or even whatever Michelangelo's work, it's just like my
Yeah,
goodness.
Michelangelo is kind of a no-brainer. It's just
It,
like,
it's just a no-brainer. I mean, but the amount of time he had, like the craftsmanship, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if I don't know if the world that we've built the past I don't know 100 years, maybe called 100 years, like to have that focus and not be as distracted. You could even say 50, but it, it's just like you got to really become a master at your craft to do
yeah,
to do these kind of work.
right.
On the flip side, you do see it in the business world. Like the companies that are built today are so incredible.
Hmm.
They're better companies than even companies were 10 years ago,
Yeah,
right? They're some of the most magnificent companies that have ever been built. Um, so I and as AI comes along and we're able to just do things quicker and easier, what took somebody to really work on their craft, now you can just prompt it
yeah.
uh, it's just wild. And people in the future won't even know the difference. Maybe like I know the difference because I'm alive and I
Yeah,
understand what it took to get there. But
yeah,
our children might not even
understand.
understand there's a real difference.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of like, yeah, I mean, part of what is kind of amazing too is, we take it for granted today that, we have to have a cell phone with
Yeah.
us at all times. I grew up in a time where I still remember, the rotary.
Wow. Yeah, the
Yeah,
rotary.
phone on the wall. Yeah, not even like remote control.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, eventually, like it went that way, but it's so wild to me. In my lifetime, I've seen such a dramatic shift,
Mm.
and if I saw a dramatic shift like that and the pace that we're going right
Now.
now, um, you know, people who are young or being born today are gonna see an even more dramatic shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. I do think that it is kind of going to be interesting to see what the world is like with the way AI makes things a lot more easier to do.
Easier.
I
Yeah.
think one thing that's interesting is that it means that those things are going to be more accessible, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and potential, I think it has the potential for things to be more creative. So people who now have access to things that didn't have access to that before might be able to utilize them in ways that we never kind of thought about.
Oh,
You know,
that's a good
so,
point.
so that's there's potential there, but I do kind of concede that it does it does seem like like a couple things can happen. One, um, hard work and effort will, have there's a strong likelihood that those things are going to be in decline because of how
Yeah.
uh, easy AI makes things.
Mm-hmm.
And then furthermore, that probably means that it will be even it will make people even less resilient because part of
Oh,
part of what is important about being able to work hard and put in effort is failure. And it
right.
does seem like AI is going to probably bear the brunt. I mean, even if it doesn't do well or it doesn't do what you want it to, you can always blame the AI for coming up short instead of
It's true.
yourself.
That's a
So
good point.
there's like a compound uh, blow in
Hmm.
there.
That's a good
Um,
point.
and I think the other thing that's kind of dangerous is the dependency.
I
So
know.
if people are only using AI to do their work and they're not doing any of their own work or putting in any of the hard work or effort themselves,
Yeah.
and clearly they're creating a dependency and a reliance on a tool um, that I think is furthermore gonna just kind of lead to kind of atrophy of
Atrophy of the brain. I
brain.
think
Yeah,
about that too. Yeah. Um, I got, yeah, this needs to be continued because I got to wrap this up.
yeah,
But
totally.
somebody the other day asked me help with like they're working on a math problem for like a college course. I'm like,
Yeah,
sure. What do you need? And I'm like, oh, okay. So you have to. It was like this number times what equals this. I'm like, okay, so it's this number times y equals this number. You have to isolate y by dividing on both sides. Okay.
mhm,
So I walked through that. I'm like, and it was good. And she was like, oh, okay. I get that. I'm like, and then she's like, I have these formulas I can reference, but I have to show my work and how I got there.
yeah,
And I'm like, absolutely. and you should definitely understand and do what the teacher says. And I'm like, but also, like, ChatGPT, whatever. I'm like, if there's something you don't know, this is on the flip side. What I used to have to do, like, is look at a textbook to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But now you can just, hey, ChatGPT, help me understand why this formula is the way it is.
Right.
Right. And then it can, like, actually not just like do the work. I know it can do that, but it can help me understand, like, why I need to, multiply this number by this variable to get this thing. Like, what do these things represent?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, formulas are just like a thing on a piece of paper, and you're just plugging in numbers, and it's like, but why are you plugging in those numbers? What do those numbers represent? And especially in the real world, like, what are these things representing? Because frankly, when you get to do these, like, when you get to a job, you're probably not going to need to do these numbers by hand. You're going to have an Excel tool, you're going to have an AI tool. But yes, you do want to understand these numbers and be able to interpret what they mean.
Yeah.
And so you should understand those. And also the AI can help you understand, and it can help you and, like, interpret. So it is a fine line between, like, I don't want my brain to atrophy, but it's like also what I used to have to read a chapter in a textbook for to try to understand a mathematical model. Like, why are we using this? Now I can reference ChatGPT, and it can tell me, okay, here's exactly why you do this and what this means. And it can give me, like, simple examples. And I think that really does help. It takes me, I had to take business calculus in my college. The first time I took it from a professor, real academic guy, I worked so hard. I worked so hard in that class, and I got a D. It was my only D I ever got in college and in high school. Like, I was like, I don't get D's, right? My parents were not, but it's like I worked so hard for it.
Yeah.
I had to take the same class again. The guy who taught it, the professor, was an adjunct professor. He was like a night professor. During the day, he was an engineer or something, or like a business engineer. He had, like, a, I don't say a real job. He worked in the world where we're using this stuff. And he wasn't just fully academic. And the way he showed me stuff, I got an A in the class. I'm like, wait a minute. These are the same problems, same concepts, but he just showed it to me in a different way. And
it's the practical application that really
it's the practical application. Exactly.
It's like, you have to put those things in context that like, will make it clear and apparent, like, why they work and why they're important. Otherwise, it does just stay at kind of an academic level, and that's not approachable. It's not parsable.
Exactly. And so, like, I was telling this girl, like, know these formulas. You do what I don't want to say do what your teacher wants you to do, right? But you do want to understand, like, what this stuff actually means. And people used to have to look in a textbook and read the textbook to kind of grasp, like, what this stuff meant. At least I did. Or if you didn't just get something, or, the professor would break it down in a certain way. And then some people generally rarely could just get it. Like, oh, okay, I get it. Right. But I do think the AI tools, they can clarify things where
100%.
You maybe, like, clarity was missing before, but the fine line is, okay, just do the problem. I don't even know how to do it, but here's the answer. Okay. Right. And then I don't even have to use any of my critical thinking on the task.
Right.
And that probably carries over into life. right? If
Yeah.
I'm always, because humans are lazy thinkers. I'm listening to this book, Thinking Slow and Thinking Fast
Right.
by Daniel Kahneman, and he talks about that.
Hmm.
Um,
They're
I feel like
interesting concepts. Yeah,
it
we can
is. We could
pause.
continue this. We should
Yeah,
continue
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Any
We have
yeah, any parting thoughts?
Oh, it's great. We went for 3 long hours. I mean,
I know we did. Yeah,
that's
it's crazy.
par for the course, you know. But no, I
If
enjoyed
you,
it thoroughly. I mean,
I did too.
we covered a lot of different areas, and
Yeah, we did.
this is the way that things went is how I wanted them to go, which is
Hmm.
unbounded and just kind of having a starting point and just branching out into just wherever and to just like
Yeah,
exploring that. And so yeah, I had a great time, and I appreciate you giving me your time to do this. And
me too, man.
yeah, and
You're
it
welcome.
was wonderful. So
Yeah, it
I'm very
was.
happy.
Uh, and I told you, I do feel better at the end of this than I did at the beginning. So that's amazing. That's
Cool, cool. I'm
amazing.
glad. I'm glad.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
it's
it
good.
didn't totally tire or bore you with all of this.
No, no, no. I think it was great. I think we should do it again.
Cool.
Um,
I would love to.
yeah, we should do it. Because there's these are endlessly fascinating,
Yeah.
and I feel like we just scratched the surface of certain
Way
things,
too many. Yeah,
some of these topics.
yeah, we like I said, we went a lot of different places, and each one of those we could have, like gone far deeper. So no
Absolutely.
doubt, no doubt, we can. I'd be happy to kind of do this multiple times if
Cool.
possible.
Let's do
Uh,
it. We'll set it up. And until next time, I will see you hopefully at the next time on this thing, and I'll see you at, maybe Muay Thai or Henzo's soon. I don't know
yeah,
when. Sometimes we see each other on Saturdays. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
working this Saturday, so I probably won't be there. But
All good. Yeah.
I will see you when I see you.
I will see you when I see you too. Thank you so much, David, and
Sounds
much
good,
much
brother.
appreciated.
Alok. All right, man. Until next time. Appreciate you.
Take care. Have a good night.
You too, man. Bye bye.
All right. See you. End stream.